We've all had those nights. The ones where your mind refuses to settle down, replaying mistakes you've made, or predicting catastrophes that might never come. You lie there, staring at the ceiling, feeling like the weight of the world is pressing down on your chest. It's exhausting, isn't it? Living this way feels like running a race where the finish line keeps moving further away. Fear and anxiety have a way of sneaking into our lives, don't they? They show up in the smallest moments, when you hesitate to speak up in a meeting, when you worry about a loved one's safety, or when you overthink a decision for the 100th time. Then there are the bigger fears, losing what you have, not being enough, or simply the uncertainty of what tomorrow might bring. But here's the truth you might not have heard enough. Fear doesn't define you. It's not who you are. It's just a visitor, and like all visitors, it can leave. There's a path to living with calm, clarity, and confidence, even when life feels uncertain. Let's step into a story, something we can all relate to. Meet Laura. She's an ordinary woman with a job she likes most days, friends she cares about, and dreams she's been too scared to chase. On the surface, Laura seems fine, even happy. She smiles at the barista on her morning coffee run, laughs at her co-workers' jokes, and posts pictures of sunsets on social media. But inside, she's carrying a storm. Laura's mornings start with a tight knot in her stomach. Before her feet even touch the floor, her mind begins its marathon. Did I say something wrong yesterday? Will I meet that deadline at work? What if my car breaks down? What if something happens to Mom? The questions swirl, each one louder than the last, until she's overwhelmed before the day even begins. At work, she feels the weight of perfectionism. She rechecks her emails 3, sometimes 4 times, terrified of making a mistake. In meetings, she stays quiet, afraid her ideas aren't good enough. At home, she's constantly scrolling through news headlines, her chest tightening with every negative story. By the time Laura goes to bed, she's drained. But instead of rest, the cycle repeats. Her mind replays the day, focusing on every perceived failure and worrying about tomorrow. This wasn't always Laura's life. She remembers a time when she felt lighter, freer, but somewhere along the way, fear crept in, whispering that she wasn't safe, that she wasn't enough, that something terrible was just around the corner. And now, it feels like fear has taken over. One day, after another sleepless night, Laura reaches a breaking point. She feels trapped, stuck in a loop of worry and self-doubt. She knows she can't keep living this way, but she doesn't know how to stop. That's when she decides to seek help, starting with the wisdom of a friend who seems to always carry a sense of calm, no matter what's happening in their life. Over coffee, Laura pours her heart out to her friend, Sam. She tells him about the endless worry, the self-doubt, and the constant feeling of being on edge. Sam listens patiently, nodding but never interrupting. When she finally finishes, he leans forward with a knowing smile. "You know," Sam says gently, "fear isn't the enemy you think it is. It's just your mind trying to protect you, but sometimes the mind gets it wrong." Laura frowns. "What do you mean?" Sam explains that fear often stems from the stories we tell ourselves, stories about what might happen, what others think of us, or what we think we can't handle. The mind loves to spin these stories, he says, but they're just that, stories, not facts. He continues, sharing something he learned from Buddhist teachings. Fear isn't permanent, Laura. It feels like it is because we feed it, by avoiding what scares us, by overthinking, by clinging to the idea that everything must stay the same. But when we stop giving fear our energy, it starts to lose its grip. Laura listens, a spark of hope flickering in her chest. So, how do I stop feeding it? Sam shares a few insights that have helped him. He talks about embracing impermanence, the understanding that everything changes and nothing lasts forever. When you realize that even your fear is temporary, it's less scary, he says. He also introduces Laura to mindfulness, the practice of bringing her attention to the present moment. When your mind starts running away with what-ifs, try to come back to where you are right now. What can you see? What can you hear? What can you feel? Fear can't thrive when you're truly present. Another piece of advice hits Laura hard: letting go of attachment. A lot of our anxiety comes from trying to hold on to things too tightly, Sam explains. We're afraid of losing what we have or not getting what we want. But when you learn to loosen your grip, to accept that life has its own flow, you find peace. Sam's words resonate deeply. For the first time in a long time, Laura feels like there's a way out of the storm. She doesn't need to fight her fear. She just needs to understand it, to see it for what it truly is: a passing wave, not a permanent flood. Laura leaves that conversation with a sense of purpose. She starts small. Each morning, before the chaos of her mind takes over, she takes a few moments to breathe deeply and focus on the sensations around her. At work, she catches herself when her thoughts spiral, gently redirecting her attention to the task in front of her. And when fear whispers that she's not good enough, she reminds herself that these are just thoughts, not truths. It's not an overnight transformation. Some days are harder than others, but as weeks turn into months, Laura begins to notice a shift. She feels lighter, more present, more in control of her life. Fear still visits, but it no longer holds the same power. She's learned to greet it like an old acquaintance, acknowledging its presence, but not letting it take over. Laura's story isn't extraordinary, and that's what makes it so powerful. She didn't need a dramatic event to change her life. She simply made the decision to stop letting fear drive her. And if she can do it, so can you. Fear thrives in the unknown, in the stories we create about the future, and in our attempts to control what we cannot. But when we take a step back and look at fear for what it is, a mental habit, not an unchangeable reality, we begin to reclaim our power. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that fear is a part of life, but it doesn't have to define it. By embracing impermanence, practicing mindfulness, and letting go of attachments, we can find peace even in the face of uncertainty. And when we stop running from fear and start seeing it as a teacher, we open ourselves to a life of freedom and joy. So, as you go about your day-to-day, take a moment to pause and reflect. Where is fear holding you back? And what small step can you take to loosen its grip? Like Laura, you don't need to do it all at once. Start where you are, with what you have, and trust that each step forward brings you closer to the peace you deserve. Because the truth is, you already have everything you need to live without fear. You just need to remember it. The introduction has shown how fear often takes root in our lives, holding us back from fully embracing each day. It has revealed how anxiety isn't a fixed reality, but something that can be understood and overcome. Now, let's take the first step in unraveling fear by uncovering its origins and understanding why it has such a strong hold on our minds. The truth may surprise you and empower you in ways you never thought possible. Fear thrives in the space between what is real and what our minds construct. It's not a force of nature, but a product of the human mind's remarkable ability to create stories. This creative power which has enabled us to build civilizations and solve complex problems, also has a darker side. It invents fears about things that might never happen. A missed call becomes a catastrophe in waiting. A look from a stranger turns into a sign of danger. The human mind, left unchecked, can become a factory of imaginary fears. At the heart of this is a mechanism that evolved to keep us safe. Thousands of years ago, fear protected our ancestors from predators and natural disasters. This response was immediate and essential. But in today's world, the dangers we face are often less tangible. Instead of lions lurking in the bushes, we worry about job security, relationships, and our health. The mind, unable to distinguish between real threats and imagined ones, reacts the same way it would to a charging predator. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and your stomach churns, all in response to a future that hasn't happened and likely never will. This isn't your fault. The human brain is wired for survival, not happiness. It constantly scans the environment for potential threats, prioritizing fear over peace to ensure we're alert and prepared. But this survival mechanism, when overactive, can rob us of joy. It pulls us away from the present moment and drags us into an imagined future filled with what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. The mind is a master of projection. It takes small, neutral events and assigns them exaggerated meanings. A simple delay in receiving a response to a message can spiral into fears of rejection or abandonment. A minor mistake at work can lead to sleepless nights worrying about your career. The mind projects these outcomes not because they're true, but because it's trying to protect you from disappointment or harm. However, these projections often create the very pain we're trying to avoid. To see through the illusion of fear, one must first recognize its nature. Fear is not an enemy, but a signal, a call to pay attention. However, it's not always a reliable guide. When fear arises, pause and ask yourself, what evidence do I have that this fear is real? Often, you'll find that fear has little grounding in reality. It thrives on uncertainty, magnifying it until it feels overwhelming. But when you break it down and question its validity, fear begins to lose its power. The Buddhist concept of mindfulness teaches us to observe fear without judgment. Instead of running from it or letting it dictate your actions, you can learn to sit with it, seeing it for what it truly is, a passing thought or emotion. Fear may feel permanent in the moment, but it's as transient as a cloud in the sky. By observing it, you create distance, allowing yourself to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Consider this. How many of your past fears ever came true? Reflect on the worries that kept you awake at night or paralyzed you during the day. Most of them likely dissolved without incident, yet they consumed precious energy and time. Recognizing this pattern can help you approach future fears with a calmer, more rational mindset. It's not about denying fear, but about understanding its limitations. Fear also feeds on avoidance. When you avoid situations that scare you, the mind learns that the fear is justified. This creates a cycle where the fear grows stronger, making the situation seem even more daunting. Facing your fears gently, with compassion, can break this cycle. Exposure teaches the mind that what you fear isn't as dangerous as it seems. It rewires the brain, creating new pathways that associate those situations with safety rather than threat. The stories we tell ourselves about fear matter. Language shapes our experience of the world, and the words we use to describe fear can either empower us or deepen our anxiety. When you catch yourself saying, "I'm terrified of this," Try reframing it as, "This makes me uncomfortable, but I can handle it." This subtle shift acknowledges the fear without letting it define you. One of fear's most deceptive tricks is to make you believe you're alone in your struggle. It isolates, convincing you that no one else feels the way you do. But fear is a universal human experience. Everyone, no matter how confident they seem, grapples with their own fears. Understanding this shared experience can help you feel less isolated and more connected to others. It also reminds you that fear isn't a reflection of your character, but a part of being human. Breathing is a powerful tool for managing fear. When you're anxious, your breath becomes shallow, signaling to your brain that you're in danger. This creates a feedback loop, intensifying your fear. By taking slow, deep breaths, you can interrupt this cycle, calming both your body and mind. Each breath anchors you to the present moment, pulling you out of the whirlpool of anxious thoughts. The mind's ability to create fear is also its greatest strength. This same imagination that constructs worst-case scenarios can be used to visualize positive outcomes. By shifting your focus from what you're afraid of to what you want to achieve, you redirect your energy toward growth and possibility. This isn't about ignoring fear, but about choosing to focus on hope and potential. Fear often disguises itself as control. It whispers that if you plan enough, worry enough, or prepare enough, you can avoid pain. But control is an illusion. Life is inherently unpredictable, and trying to micromanage every outcome only deepens anxiety. The antidote is acceptance. Accept that uncertainty is a part of life, and you'll find a freedom that no amount of control can provide. When you stop seeing fear as a foe and start viewing it as a teacher, everything changes. Fear highlights what matters most to you: your dreams, your relationships, your sense of security. By listening to it without letting it take over, you can learn valuable lessons about yourself and what you value. This transforms fear from a source of suffering into a guide for growth. Fear also thrives on perfectionism. The belief that you must be flawless to be worthy creates a fertile ground for anxiety. But perfection is unattainable. Embrace your imperfections, and you'll find that fear has less to cling to. Mistakes aren't failures. They're opportunities to learn and grow. Compassion is a powerful antidote to fear. When you're kind to yourself in moments of anxiety, you create a safe space within. This self-compassion allows you to face fear without judgment, making it easier to move through it. Treat yourself as you would a friend who's feeling afraid, with patience, understanding, and support. By recognizing fear as a creation of the mind, you reclaim your power. You're no longer a passive victim, but an active participant in your experience. Fear may still arise, but it no longer controls you. Instead, it becomes a signal, a reminder to pause, breathe, and choose a different path. This understanding sets the stage for the next step in your journey, embracing impermanence. When you grasp the transient nature of all things, fear begins to loosen its grip even further. Life isn't something to be controlled or feared, but a flow to be experienced with curiosity and grace. Let's explore this deeper truth together. Fear loses much of its power when we recognize it as a creation of the mind, but there's another layer to understanding why it clings so tightly. At the root of many fears lies a simple, universal truth. We're afraid of losing what we value, of things changing in ways we can't control. Whether it's the fear of losing loved ones, opportunities, or even time itself, these anxieties often stem from an unwillingness to accept the impermanence of life. Let's now explore how embracing the transient nature of all things can free us from these fears and bring a profound sense of peace. Life is always in motion, shifting and evolving with every passing moment. Nothing stays the same, and that's both the beauty and the challenge of existence. The seasons change, relationships grow and transform, and even the cells in our body are constantly renewing. Yet, despite this obvious truth, we often cling to the idea of permanence. We try to hold on to moments, people, and circumstances as if they will last forever. This attachment creates tension because it resists the natural flow of life. Accepting impermanence doesn't mean you become detached or indifferent. It means understanding that everything is part of a larger cycle. When you hold on to something too tightly, you trap yourself in the fear of losing it. This clinging becomes a source of anxiety as your mind tries to fight against the inevitable changes of life. But when you learn to let go, not in the sense of abandoning what you care about, but in embracing the reality that it won't last forever, you find freedom. Consider how much energy is spent trying to control outcomes that are ultimately out of your hands. Whether it's trying to prevent a relationship from changing, holding on to material possessions, or fearing the passage of time, this resistance to impermanence only deepens your suffering. By acknowledging that all things are temporary, you release the need to control what cannot be controlled. This isn't giving up. It's letting go of unnecessary struggle. Embracing impermanence also allows you to appreciate life more deeply. When you accept that each moment is fleeting, you begin to treasure it for what it is, instead of wishing it were something else or fearing its end. The fleeting nature of life gives it meaning. A flower's beauty is magnified by the knowledge that it will wilt. A sunset is breathtaking precisely because it fades. The same is true of our experiences. Knowing they won't last forever encourages us to fully engage with them while they're here. Attachment often stems from the illusion that something outside of us can provide lasting happiness. We cling to relationships, achievements, or possessions, hoping they'll bring us security and joy. But these external things are subject to change. A relationship may shift, achievements may fade, and possessions can be lost. True peace comes from realizing that happiness doesn't depend on holding on to these things, but on our ability to navigate life's changes with grace. One of the most profound lessons of impermanence is that it applies equally to pain and suffering. Just as joy is fleeting, so too are hardships. This understanding can be a source of immense comfort during difficult times. When faced with loss, disappointment, or fear, remember that these feelings are temporary. They may feel overwhelming in the moment, but they will pass. Recognizing this can help you endure challenges with greater resilience and hope. Living in alignment with impermanence also encourages you to prioritize what truly matters. When you accept that your time is limited, you become more intentional about how you spend it. You start to value meaningful connections, purposeful actions, and personal growth over fleeting pleasures or trivial concerns. Embracing impermanence isn't about focusing on what you might lose. It's about making the most of what you have while it's here. Letting go of attachment doesn't mean you stop caring. In fact, it allows you to care more deeply without being burdened by the fear of loss. When you stop clinging to people or outcomes, you can love and engage with them fully, knowing that your happiness isn't dependent on their permanence. This kind of freedom allows relationships to flourish and experiences to be more fulfilling. Practicing impermanence involves shifting your perspective. Instead of viewing change as a threat, you can see it as an opportunity for growth. Each ending makes space for a new beginning. A door closing doesn't signify failure, it signals the chance to explore something new. By embracing this mindset, you transform life's transitions from sources of fear into pathways to discovery. Mindfulness is a powerful tool for living with impermanence. By focusing on the present moment, you train yourself to engage with life as it is, rather than worrying about what it might become or mourning what it used to be. The present moment is all we truly have, and learning to be fully present helps you let go of the past and future, where fear and regret often reside. The concept of impermanence also teaches us humility. It reminds us that we're part of a larger cycle, connected to the world around us. Just as the waves in the ocean rise and fall, so do the events of our lives. This understanding can be liberating because it shifts the focus from individual struggles to a broader perspective. You realize that change isn't something happening to you, it's simply the nature of existence. Accepting impermanence doesn't mean you won't feel sadness or grief when things change. These emotions are natural and part of being human. However, by understanding that these feelings too are transient, you can face them without being consumed by them. Grief, when met with compassion and patience, becomes a process of healing rather than a source of prolonged suffering. Impermanence also teaches us gratitude. Knowing that nothing lasts forever encourages us to appreciate what we have while we have it. It turns ordinary moments into precious gifts. A conversation with a loved one, the warmth of the sun on your skin, or the taste of your favorite meal. All of these take on greater significance when you view them through the lens of impermanence. In a world that often values permanence and stability, embracing change might feel counterintuitive. But the reality is that impermanence is the only constant. By aligning yourself with this truth, you free yourself from the futile struggle to make life something it's not. You learn to flow with life's changes instead of resisting them, creating a sense of peace that no external circumstance can take away. When you accept impermanence, you also learn to forgive more easily. Holding on to anger or resentment keeps you trapped in the past, unable to move forward. But when you recognize that everything, including your pain, is temporary, it becomes easier to let go of grudges and find peace. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, it means releasing the hold that the past has on you. Impermanence can also inspire courage. When you realize that failure and embarrassment are temporary, you're more willing to take risks and pursue your goals. Fear of change or rejection often holds people back. But when you understand that these feelings won't last forever, they lose their power to control you. This courage allows you to live more authentically and take actions that align with your values. Ultimately, embracing impermanence leads to a profound sense of freedom. It liberates you from the chains of attachment and the fear of change, allowing you to experience life with a sense of openness and curiosity. You begin to see life not as a series of losses, but as a continuous flow of opportunities and experiences. This understanding lays the foundation for letting go of attachments in a deeper, more transformative way. By fully embracing the transient nature of life, you prepare yourself to release the clinging that creates suffering and step into a space of lasting peace and contentment. Letting go of attachment and embracing impermanence shifts the way we approach life, granting us freedom from unnecessary struggles. Yet, as liberating as it is to accept change, the mind often drifts into the past or future, where fear and anxiety reside. To truly anchor ourselves in this newfound freedom, we need a tool that allows us to remain steady in the present moment. Mindfulness is that tool, a practice that transforms fleeting awareness into a shield against fear. Mindfulness is the art of paying attention to life as it unfolds, moment by moment. It's a state of being fully present, observing your thoughts, emotions, and surroundings without judgment. This practice is not about suppressing fear or forcing calm. It's about creating space to experience life as it is, instead of how your mind projects it to be. Fear thrives on projections, spinning stories about what has happened or what might happen. But when you bring your attention to the present, fear loses its footing. The mind has a natural tendency to wander. Thoughts dart between the past and future, creating a web of concerns that pull you away from the present. Mindfulness interrupts this cycle by gently guiding your attention back to what is real and immediate. When fear arises, instead of reacting to it instinctively, you can pause and observe it. This pause creates a gap between the fear and your response, giving you the clarity to choose how to engage with it. Anxiety often feels overwhelming because it comes with physical sensations: tightness in the chest, shallow breathing, a racing heart. Mindfulness teaches you to notice these sensations without judgment. Instead of labeling them as bad or trying to escape them, you can simply acknowledge them as part of your experience. This simple act of acknowledgement can dissolve the power fear holds over you. You stop feeding it with resistance, and it begins to fade. The breath is a powerful anchor for mindfulness. It's always with you, steady and rhythmic, a constant amidst the changing tides of life. When fear begins to rise, focusing on your breath brings you back to the present. The act of inhaling and exhaling slowly and deeply signals your body that you are safe, reducing the fight-or-flight response that fuels anxiety. Each breath becomes a reminder of your ability to stay grounded, no matter what storms may come. Mindfulness also fosters curiosity. Instead of viewing fear as something to avoid, you can explore it with an open mind. Where is it located in your body? What thoughts accompany it? What triggered it? By approaching fear with curiosity rather than judgment, you shift from being its victim to being its observer. This shift empowers you, as fear loses its grip when you see it clearly for what it is: a transient emotion, not a permanent state. One of the most transformative aspects of mindfulness is the ability to break free from the cycle of overthinking. Fear often amplifies because the mind keeps replaying the same worries, trying to solve problems that don't yet exist. Mindfulness helps you notice when your thoughts are spiraling and gently brings your focus back to the present. Over time, this practice rewires the brain, reducing the tendency to ruminate and creating a calmer, more centered mindset. Mindfulness is also a practice of acceptance. It doesn't seek to eliminate fear, but to make room for it without being consumed by it. When you accept that fear is part of the human experience, you stop resisting it. This acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means acknowledging what is, so you can respond with wisdom rather than panic. Fear becomes less threatening when you stop treating it as an enemy and start seeing it as a passing visitor. Being fully present also enhances your relationships. Fear often isolates, creating walls of self-protection. But when you practice mindfulness, you become more attuned to others. You listen more deeply, respond with greater empathy, and connect on a more authentic level. These connections remind you that you are not alone, which can be a powerful antidote to the loneliness fear often brings. Mindfulness teaches you to focus on what is within your control. Fear often arises from trying to manage the uncontrollable. other people's actions, future outcomes, or past mistakes. By grounding yourself in the present, you shift your energy to what you can influence, your own thoughts, actions, and attitudes. This shift is empowering because it brings your attention back to the here and now, where your true power lies. Another benefit of mindfulness is the cultivation of gratitude. When you are fully present, you notice the small joys that often go overlooked. A kind word, the warmth of the sun, the taste of your favorite meal. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you fear to what you appreciate, creating a sense of abundance that fear struggles to penetrate. This practice doesn't ignore life's challenges. It balances them with an awareness of its blessings. Mindfulness also helps you develop resilience. Life will always have its uncertainties and challenges, but when you face them with a mindful presence, they become less daunting. You learn to navigate difficulties with grace, understanding that they too will pass. This resilience doesn't come from avoiding fear, but from meeting it with a steady mind and an open heart. The practice of mindfulness is not confined to formal meditation. It can be woven into the fabric of your daily life. Whether you're washing dishes, walking to work, or having a conversation, you can bring your full attention to the task at hand. These small moments of mindfulness add up, creating a foundation of calm that carries you through the day. Over time, mindfulness becomes less of a practice and more of a way of being. Mindfulness also encourages self-compassion. When fear arises, it's easy to criticize yourself for feeling weak or overwhelmed. But mindfulness invites you to treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a friend. This self-compassion creates a safe inner space where you can explore your fears without judgment, making it easier to let them go. Through mindfulness, you also learn to see fear as a messenger. It often points to areas of growth, highlighting what matters most to you. Instead of running from fear, you can listen to it, understanding what it's trying to teach. This perspective transforms fear from a barrier into a bridge, connecting you to deeper self-awareness. Mindfulness doesn't promise a life free from fear, but it offers a way to coexist with it peacefully. By staying present, you reduce the power of fear to control your thoughts and actions. You begin to see fear not as a force to be fought, but as a shadow that fades in the light of awareness. Mindfulness creates a space for peace in the present moment, allowing fear to loosen its grip. But fear and anxiety are often only surface-level manifestations of a deeper truth: suffering. To truly address the roots of fear, we must delve into the nature of suffering itself. In Buddhist teachings, suffering, or dukkha, is seen not as something to avoid, but as something to understand and transform. By doing so, we move beyond the grip of fear and step into a space of profound freedom. Suffering is often misunderstood. It's not just pain or hardship, but a more pervasive dissatisfaction that weaves through life. Even in moments of happiness, there's often an undercurrent of unease, a fear that the joy won't last, or a sense that something is still missing. This is the essence of dukkha, the subtle discomfort that arises when we resist life as it is, or cling to how we want it to be. Recognizing this truth is the first step toward transforming it. Suffering exists because of our attachment to outcomes, our desires for permanence in an impermanent world, and our aversion to discomfort. When things don't go as planned, we suffer. When we lose what we hold dear, we suffer. And even when we get what we want, the happiness is often fleeting, replaced by a desire for something else. This cycle of grasping and dissatisfaction keeps us trapped, fueling our fears and anxieties. Understanding suffering requires a willingness to look at it directly, rather than avoiding or suppressing it. Many of us distract ourselves from pain with busyness, entertainment, or denial, but these strategies only prolong the suffering. When you turn toward suffering with curiosity and courage, you begin to see its true nature. You realize that suffering isn't a punishment or a sign of failure. It's a universal experience that connects us all. This awareness fosters compassion, both for yourself and for others. One of the key teachings about suffering is that it arises from craving, or tanha. This craving isn't just about physical desires, but also about the need to control, the longing for security, and the refusal to accept change. When you crave certainty in a world that is constantly shifting, you set yourself up for frustration. But when you recognize this craving for what it is, a reaction of the mind, not a fixed reality, you can begin to loosen its hold. Another cause of suffering is ignorance, or avidya. This isn't a lack of intelligence, but a misunderstanding of life's nature. We suffer because we see ourselves as separate from others, because we believe that happiness comes from external conditions, and because we don't fully grasp the impermanence of all things. This ignorance keeps us locked in patterns of fear and dissatisfaction. By cultivating awareness and wisdom, we can begin to see through these illusions. To transform suffering, you must first accept it. This doesn't mean resigning yourself to misery, but acknowledging that suffering is a natural part of life. When you stop resisting suffering, it loses much of its power. Resistance adds a layer of tension that intensifies the pain, while acceptance creates space for healing. This doesn't mean you stop striving for a better life, but your striving comes from a place of peace rather than desperation. Suffering also holds the seeds of growth. It's often in our most painful moments that we learn the deepest lessons about ourselves and life. Suffering teaches us about resilience, compassion, and the impermanence of all things. It pushes us to let go of attachments and illusions, forcing us to confront the truths we might otherwise avoid. When you view suffering as a teacher rather than an enemy, it becomes a gateway to transformation. One of the most profound ways to work with suffering is through compassion. When you meet your pain with kindness instead of judgment, you create a space for healing. This compassion extends to others as well, as recognizing your own suffering helps you empathize with theirs. Compassion dissolves the barriers that fear and suffering create, fostering a sense of connection and shared humanity. Another tool for transforming suffering is gratitude. This may seem counterintuitive, but even in the midst of pain, there are often moments of grace. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is lacking to what is present, breaking the cycle of dissatisfaction. It doesn't negate the suffering, but balances it with an awareness of life's beauty and gifts. Breath awareness is another powerful practice for working with suffering. When you're in pain, whether physical or emotional, your breath often becomes shallow and tight. By consciously deepening and slowing your breath, you can calm your nervous system and create a sense of stability. Each breath reminds you that you are alive, that you are capable of facing whatever arises. Reflection on impermanence also helps transform suffering. When you realize that pain, like all things, is temporary, it becomes more bearable. This perspective doesn't diminish the reality of suffering, but places it in a broader context. Just as joy comes and goes, so does pain. This understanding brings hope and resilience. Suffering also challenges you to examine your values and priorities. It often reveals what truly matters and what doesn't. When you face loss or hardship, the superficial concerns fade away, leaving only what is essential. This clarity can be a gift, helping you align your life with your deepest values. By understanding the nature of suffering, you also begin to see the interconnection of all things. Your suffering isn't isolated. It's part of the broader web of life. This awareness can be humbling and liberating, reminding you that you are never truly alone. Every being experiences dukkha, and in this shared experience lies a profound unity. Transforming suffering doesn't mean you'll never feel pain again. Life will always have its challenges, losses, and uncertainties. But by changing your relationship to suffering, you free yourself from much of the unnecessary fear and anxiety that accompanies it. You learn to meet life's difficulties with courage, grace, and wisdom. This journey of transformation lays the foundation for an even deeper practice, letting go of attachments. As we explore how releasing our grip on desires and clinging leads to lasting peace, we continue to uncover the profound freedom that lies at the heart of Buddhist teachings. Suffering reveals the truths we often avoid: the impermanence of life, the pain of clinging, and the freedom found in acceptance. This deeper understanding prepares us for the next step: releasing attachments. Much of our suffering stems from holding too tightly to people, possessions, and ideas, believing they will bring us lasting happiness or security. Yet this clinging creates fear and insecurity, keeping us trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction. To find lasting peace, we must learn to let go. Attachment is rooted in the craving known as tanha, a deep longing or thirst that drives much of human behavior. This craving isn't limited to material possessions. It includes the need for validation, control, and certainty. We cling to relationships, identities, and even expectations, hoping they will fulfill us. But the reality is that these attachments often lead to disappointment, as they are built on the illusion that anything in this world can remain constant. Letting go of attachment doesn't mean giving up on life or becoming indifferent. It means freeing yourself from the grip of neediness and fear. When you hold something too tightly, you invest your happiness in its permanence, but nothing in life is truly permanent. Relationships evolve, possessions age, and circumstances change. By learning to release your grip, you can experience these things fully without being defined by them. The first step in letting go is recognizing the impermanence of what you're holding on to, whether it's a cherished possession or a deeply held belief. Understanding that everything is temporary can help you approach it with greater openness. Instead of clinging out of fear of loss, you can appreciate it for what it is, in the moment. This shift in perspective transforms your relationship with what you value. Attachment also arises from the illusion of control. We often believe that by holding on, we can prevent loss or ensure a specific outcome, but life doesn't work that way. Trying to control what is inherently uncontrollable only leads to frustration and anxiety. Letting go means accepting that you cannot dictate the course of life, and this acceptance brings a profound sense of peace. Another source of attachment is the desire for validation. Many people tie their self-worth to the opinions of others, clinging to relationships or social status for a sense of identity. But this external validation is fleeting, leaving you constantly seeking more. When you let go of the need for approval, you reclaim your sense of self-worth, finding value in who you are rather than how others perceive you. Material possessions are another common area of attachment. While there's nothing wrong with enjoying what you have, problems arise when you define yourself by these things. Possessions can bring comfort and joy, but they cannot provide lasting fulfillment. Letting go of material attachment doesn't mean renouncing everything. It means recognizing that your true value lies within, not in what you own. Attachment to outcomes can also be a significant source of stress. When you invest your happiness in a specific result, you set yourself up for disappointment if things don't go as planned. Letting go of attachment to outcomes allows you to engage fully in the process, finding joy in the journey rather than fixating on the destination. This approach fosters resilience as you become less affected by setbacks or failures. Relationships are often the hardest attachments to release. It's natural to care deeply about the people in your life, but clinging to them out of fear of loss can create tension and insecurity. Letting go in relationships doesn't mean withdrawing or becoming distant. It means loving without needing to possess. This kind of love is free and unconditional, allowing both you and the other person to grow. Letting go also involves releasing attachment to the past. Many people carry regrets, grudges, or nostalgia that weigh them down. Holding on to these feelings keeps you trapped in a story that no longer serves you. By letting go of the past, you open yourself to the present, where real life unfolds. Similarly, attachment to the future can create anxiety. When you fixate on what might happen, you lose sight of what is happening now. Letting go of future-focused worries doesn't mean ignoring your goals or responsibilities. It means trusting that life will unfold as it should, even if it's not according to your plans. Fear often fuels attachment. We cling because we're afraid of losing something or someone important to us. But this fear only tightens the grip, creating a cycle of insecurity. Letting go involves facing this fear with courage and compassion, recognizing that loss is a natural part of life. When you stop resisting this truth, you find freedom. Letting go doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that requires awareness and practice. Start small, with something that feels manageable, a habit, a possession, or a minor expectation. Notice how it feels to release your grip, and let that experience guide you toward greater freedom. Over time, this practice becomes more natural, extending to the deeper attachments in your life. Breathwork can be a powerful ally in letting go. When you focus on your breath, you connect with the present moment, where attachments lose their hold. Each exhale becomes a symbolic release, a letting go of what no longer serves you. This simple practice can help you stay grounded, even when faced with challenging emotions. Compassion is also essential in this process. Letting go can be difficult, especially when it involves deeply held beliefs or relationships. Treat yourself with kindness and patience as you navigate this journey. Acknowledge your efforts and celebrate the progress you make, no matter how small. Letting go doesn't mean losing everything. It means gaining clarity. When you release attachments, you create space for what truly matters: love, connection, and inner peace. You discover that life's richness lies not in holding on, but in being fully present, open, and free. This freedom is the foundation for lasting peace. It allows you to move through life with grace, unburdened by the weight of clinging. Letting go of attachments provides freedom and a deeper understanding of what truly matters, but the journey isn't always easy. The process of releasing old patterns, navigating change, and embracing uncertainty often brings discomfort. In these moments, patience, known in Buddhist teachings as khanti, becomes a vital tool. Patience isn't passive endurance. It's an active, intentional practice that helps you meet life's challenges with calmness and resilience. When fear arises, patience allows you to pause, reflect, and respond with clarity instead of reacting impulsively. Fear thrives in urgency, demanding immediate answers or solutions. It pushes you to act quickly, often without thinking, to escape discomfort. Patience disrupts this cycle. When you cultivate patience, you give yourself permission to sit with uncertainty and allow it to unfold naturally. This pause not only reduces anxiety, but also creates space for wisdom to arise. You begin to see that not all fears require immediate resolution, and that some dissolve on their own when given time. In moments of fear, the mind often races ahead, projecting worst-case scenarios and amplifying distress. Patience brings you back to the present, reminding you that the future is not yet written. By staying grounded in the here and now, you break free from the mental loops that feed fear. Patience teaches you to trust the process, recognizing that life unfolds in its own time, regardless of your worries. Discomfort is a natural part of growth, but it's something many people avoid at all costs. This avoidance creates a fear of facing challenges, which in turn limits your ability to adapt and thrive. Patience helps you lean into discomfort rather than running from it. It allows you to see discomfort not as an enemy, but as a sign that you're moving beyond your comfort zone. With patience, discomfort becomes a teacher, showing you where growth is possible. Patience also helps you navigate relationships with greater ease. Fear often arises in interactions with others, fear of rejection, conflict, or misunderstanding. When you practice patience, you become less reactive and more compassionate. You learn to listen fully, give others the benefit of the doubt, and approach difficult conversations with a calm and open mind. This not only reduces fear, but also strengthens your connections with others. Another powerful aspect of patience is its ability to soften self-criticism. Fear often comes with a harsh inner dialogue, blaming yourself for mistakes or shortcomings. Patience reminds you that growth takes time and that you don't have to have everything figured out immediately. It allows you to treat yourself with kindness, recognizing that progress is a journey, not a race. Patience is also deeply connected to resilience. Life is unpredictable, and setbacks are inevitable. When you cultivate patience, you build the strength to weather these challenges without being overwhelmed. You learn to accept that some things take time to resolve, and that pushing for immediate results often creates more stress. Patience allows you to move through difficulties with a sense of calm and trust in your ability to persevere. Fear often arises when you feel out of control, but patience helps you reframe this experience. Instead of trying to force outcomes, patience teaches you to work with what is within your control while letting go of the rest. This balance reduces the pressure to fix everything at once, allowing you to focus on small, manageable steps. Over time, these steps lead to meaningful progress without the burden of overwhelm. The practice of patience also fosters gratitude. When you slow down and allow things to unfold naturally, you begin to notice and appreciate the small moments of beauty and connection that might otherwise go unnoticed. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's lacking or uncertain to what is present and good, creating a sense of peace that counteracts fear. Mindfulness and patience go hand in hand. Mindfulness brings your attention to the present moment, while patience helps you stay there even when it's uncomfortable. Together, they create a foundation of calm that supports you through life's uncertainties. Patience teaches you to trust that everything has its own rhythm and that rushing rarely leads to better outcomes. Patience is also a form of courage. It takes strength to sit with fear or discomfort without immediately trying to escape it. This courage grows with practice as you realize that you're capable of enduring more than you thought. Each time you face fear with patience, you build confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Breathwork can support the development of patience. When fear arises, your breath often becomes shallow and rapid, mirroring your inner turmoil. By consciously slowing your breath, you signal to your body that it's safe to relax. This simple act creates a sense of calm that makes it easier to stay patient, even in challenging situations. Patience also helps you let go of the need for perfection. Fear often stems from the belief that you must get everything right the first time. But patience reminds you that mistakes are part of the process and that growth comes from persistence, not perfection. This perspective allows you to take risks and try new things without being paralyzed by fear of failure. In the context of relationships, patience helps you navigate conflict and misunderstanding with greater empathy. Fear often makes you defensive, but patience encourages you to listen, reflect, and respond thoughtfully. This creates an environment where trust and understanding can grow, reducing the fear that often accompanies vulnerability. Patience also has a spiritual dimension. It invites you to surrender to the flow of life, trusting that things will unfold as they are meant to. This surrender is not about giving up. It's about releasing the need to control everything and finding peace in the present. When you embrace this perspective, fear loses its power to dominate your thoughts and actions. One of the most profound lessons of patience is that it transforms waiting into a form of mindfulness. Instead of viewing delays or uncertainties as obstacles, you can see them as opportunities to practice presence and acceptance. This shift not only reduces stress, but also helps you find meaning and joy in the in-between moments of life. Patience also teaches you to value progress over perfection. Fear often arises when you focus too much on the end goal, worrying about whether you'll ever get there. Patience shifts your attention to the small steps you're taking, reminding you that each one is a victory in itself. This approach builds momentum and confidence, making it easier to keep moving forward. Through patience, you develop a deeper connection with yourself. You learn to trust your own resilience and ability to navigate life's challenges. This self-trust reduces fear because you no longer doubt your capacity to handle whatever comes your way. Patience becomes a source of inner strength, grounding you even in the face of uncertainty. Patience teaches us to meet discomfort and uncertainty with grace. But what happens when the discomfort comes from life itself, moving in directions we didn't anticipate? Change is inevitable, yet it often sparks fear and resistance. This fear stems from clinging to the illusion of certainty, a desire to anchor life in a world that never stops shifting. Resisting change creates suffering, while acceptance of life's fluidity offers a freedom most people never realize they need. Fear of change is rooted in the belief that stability equals safety. The mind craves patterns it can predict, routines that feel secure, and environments that seem unchanging. This craving for control becomes a shield, one that feels protective but is ultimately limiting. When life shifts, as it always does, this shield of stability begins to crack, and anxiety rushes in to fill the gaps. The mind scrambles to hold on to what it knows, even if what it knows is no longer working. This creates tension, frustration, and a fear that colors every aspect of life. Clinging to certainty traps you in cycles of anxiety because it forces you to resist the natural flow of life. Life is not a static state. It is a constant series of transitions. Relationships evolve, careers take unexpected turns, seasons change, and even your own thoughts and desires shift with time. Resistance to these changes is like trying to stop the tide from coming in. It's exhausting, futile, and ultimately harmful. Instead of creating security, resistance breeds a sense of perpetual unease as you brace against the inevitable. At its core, the fear of change often stems from a misunderstanding of control. Many people believe that if they just try hard enough, they can control outcomes, hold on to the familiar, and avoid uncertainty. This illusion of control provides temporary comfort, but also intensifies anxiety when life proves otherwise. True peace comes not from controlling life, but from accepting its unpredictable nature. This acceptance is not passive. It's an active choice to trust in your ability to navigate whatever comes, rather than clinging to what you know. Fear of change also thrives on worst-case scenarios. The mind projects fears into the unknown, filling the void with imagined dangers and failures. These projections rarely reflect reality, yet they hold immense power because the mind treats them as truths. This leads to hesitation, self-doubt, and a reluctance to embrace opportunities. Breaking free from this cycle begins with recognizing that these projections are just thoughts, not guarantees of what will happen. When you challenge these fears with curiosity and courage, their grip weakens, and you create space for new possibilities. One of the most insidious effects of resisting change is stagnation. When you fear change, you often avoid risks, cling to outdated habits, and stay within the confines of your comfort zone. While this may feel safe, it limits your growth and prevents you from exploring the full richness of life. Change, while uncomfortable, is also the catalyst for transformation. Each shift brings the opportunity to learn, adapt, and discover new aspects of yourself. By resisting change, you deny yourself these experiences and remain stuck in cycles of sameness. Accepting change doesn't mean you have to love every transition. It means recognizing that change is a natural part of life and learning to work with it rather than against it. Acceptance creates flexibility, allowing you to adapt to new circumstances with greater ease. This flexibility reduces anxiety because you no longer waste energy fighting what cannot be stopped. Instead, you channel that energy into navigating change with purpose and intention. Change also reveals the impermanence of all things, a truth that can feel both liberating and unsettling. When you embrace this impermanence, you begin to see life as a series of moments, each one unique and fleeting. This perspective encourages you to let go of what no longer serves you and make room for what is yet to come. It also deepens your appreciation for the present, as you realize that the only constant is now. Fear of change often has its roots in identity. Many people define themselves by their roles, possessions, or circumstances, creating a fixed sense of self that feels threatened by change. When these external markers shift, it can feel as though you're losing a part of yourself. But identity is not fixed. It's fluid, shaped by your experiences and choices. Embracing this fluidity allows you to grow and evolve, rather than being trapped by outdated versions of who you think you are. One powerful way to navigate change is through gratitude. When faced with transitions, it's easy to focus on what is ending or what you might lose. Gratitude shifts your perspective, helping you recognize what is still present and what new opportunities change might bring. This doesn't erase the challenges of change, but it balances them with an awareness of life's gifts, creating a more grounded and hopeful mindset. Breathwork can also be an anchor during times of change. When fear arises, the breath often becomes shallow and erratic, mirroring the mind's turbulence. By consciously slowing and deepening your breath, you calm your nervous system and bring yourself back to the present moment. This practice doesn't stop change from happening, but it helps you face it with a sense of stability and clarity. Change is also an opportunity for self-discovery. When the familiar falls away, you're invited to explore who you are beyond your circumstances. This can be a time of great growth as you uncover strengths, values, and passions that may have been hidden beneath the routines of daily life. Embracing change as a chance to learn about yourself transforms fear into curiosity, opening doors to new possibilities. Letting go of the need for certainty also fosters resilience. When you accept that change is inevitable, you build confidence in your ability to adapt and thrive. This resilience becomes a source of inner strength, reducing the fear of future uncertainties. You begin to trust yourself, knowing that you can navigate whatever life brings. Relationships often provide a lens through which the fear of change becomes visible. Whether it's the evolution of a partnership, the ending of a friendship, or the dynamics within a family, changes in relationships can be particularly challenging. Accepting that people grow and change, just as you do, allows you to approach these shifts with greater compassion and understanding. This acceptance deepens your connections and reduces the anxiety that comes from trying to hold on to relationships exactly as they are. Change also challenges you to confront your attachments. When you resist change, it's often because you're clinging to something, an idea, a person, or a situation that you believe you can't live without. By exploring these attachments and questioning their hold on you, you begin to release the fear of losing them. This release creates space for freedom and growth, as you realize that your well-being is not dependent on any one thing. Accepting change doesn't mean ignoring the difficulties it brings. Some changes are painful, involving loss, uncertainty, or major adjustments. But even in these moments, acceptance offers a path forward. It allows you to grieve what is lost while remaining open to what is emerging. This balance between honoring the past and embracing the future is at the heart of navigating change with grace. Change also reminds us of our interconnectedness. Your actions, decisions, and experiences are part of a larger web of relationships and events. Recognizing this interconnectedness can be both humbling and empowering, as it shifts your perspective from individual fears to a broader understanding of your place in the world. This shift reduces anxiety by reminding you that you are not alone in facing life's uncertainties. The fear of change can be transformed through practice and intention. It begins with small steps, acknowledging your resistance, exploring its roots, and taking mindful actions toward acceptance. Each time you face change with courage and openness, you strengthen your ability to navigate life's transitions. Over time, this practice becomes a natural part of your approach to life, reducing fear and increasing your capacity for freedom and joy. Embracing change teaches us to let go of resistance and step into life's natural flow. But there's a deeper truth that must be confronted: fear itself. Fear thrives in the shadows, growing stronger when left unexamined. Its power lies not in its reality, but in the way it lurks unchallenged in the background of our minds. To overcome fear, You must bring it into the light, see it clearly, and understand its transient nature. Only then can you begin to loosen its grip and reclaim your sense of peace. Fear often feels larger than life because it operates in the background, unspoken and unquestioned. It whispers doubts, magnifies threats, and convinces you to avoid what might challenge or discomfort you. These whispers often remain unchecked, allowing fear to shape your decisions and perceptions without you even realizing it. The first step in dismantling fear is to name it, to acknowledge its presence. This simple act of recognition robs fear of some of its power, as you begin to see it as something separate from yourself. When you confront fear, it often reveals itself as a series of thoughts and physical sensations rather than a tangible threat. The mind creates stories about what could go wrong, spinning worst-case scenarios that rarely materialize. The body responds to these thoughts with tension, rapid breathing, or a racing heart, amplifying the sense of danger. By observing these reactions with awareness, you can begin to separate the sensation of fear from its content, realizing that fear is not a reflection of reality, but a habitual response to uncertainty. Awareness is the key to seeing fear for what it truly is. Instead of avoiding fear or trying to suppress it, meet it with curiosity. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What is the worst that could happen? What evidence do I have that this fear is valid? Often you'll find that fear is built on assumptions rather than facts. By questioning these assumptions, you can begin to unravel the stories that fear has woven around you. Fear also feeds on avoidance. When you avoid what you fear, you reinforce the belief that the fear is justified. This creates a cycle where avoidance strengthens fear, making it harder to confront in the future. Breaking this cycle involves facing fear directly, one small step at a time. Each time you do, you teach your mind and body that the feared situation is not as dangerous as it seems. Over time, this builds confidence and reduces the hold fear has over you. The transient nature of fear becomes clear when you observe it without judgment. Fear, like all emotions, is impermanent. It rises, peaks, and eventually subsides. This cycle is often shorter than it feels in the moment, but it's only visible when you allow yourself to sit with fear rather than fleeing from it. Recognizing fear's impermanence helps you endure its presence without feeling overwhelmed, knowing it will pass just as waves recede after crashing onto the shore. Fear often disguises itself as protection, convincing you that avoiding risk will keep you safe. While this may work in the short term, it limits your growth and prevents you from experiencing life fully. Facing fear requires courage, but this courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means moving forward despite it. Each act of courage reinforces your ability to face challenges, creating a positive cycle of growth and resilience. One of the most effective ways to confront fear is through mindfulness. By bringing your attention to the present moment, you disrupt fear's tendency to pull you into the future or past. Mindfulness allows you to observe fear without being consumed by it, creating a sense of distance that helps you see it more clearly. You realize that fear is not an enemy, but a reaction, a signal that something matters to you. Breathwork is another powerful tool for confronting fear. When fear arises, your breath often becomes shallow and erratic, reinforcing the body's fight-or-flight response. By consciously deepening and slowing your breath, you signal to your nervous system that you are safe. This calms your body and mind, creating a sense of stability that makes it easier to face fear with clarity and composure. Fear often points to areas of personal growth. It highlights what you care about, what challenges you, and where you feel vulnerable. Instead of viewing fear as a barrier, consider it a guide. What is it trying to teach you? What opportunities for growth lie on the other side of this fear? By reframing fear in this way, you transform it from an obstacle into a pathway for self-discovery. Self-compassion plays a vital role in confronting fear. Fear often comes with self-judgment, as you may criticize yourself for feeling afraid or for struggling to move past it. Self-compassion allows you to meet fear with kindness rather than criticism. It reminds you that fear is a universal human experience, not a personal failing. This kindness creates a safe space within yourself to explore fear without shame or guilt. Fear also thrives in isolation, convincing you that you're the only one who feels this way. Sharing your fears with others can be a powerful act of connection and healing. When you speak openly about your fears, you often discover that others share similar experiences, reducing the sense of isolation and normalizing the feeling of fear. This shared understanding builds a sense of solidarity and support, making it easier to face fear together. Letting go of the need for control is another important step in confronting fear. Many fears arise from the desire to control outcomes, to ensure that everything turns out exactly as you hope. But control is an illusion. Life is inherently unpredictable. When you accept this truth, fear begins to lose its hold. You learn to trust in your ability to adapt to whatever comes, rather than relying on a false sense of control for security. Fear often tries to protect you from discomfort, but it also keeps you from experiencing life fully. When you confront fear, you open yourself to new possibilities, relationships, and experiences. You begin to see that the walls fear has built around you are not protecting you, they're limiting you. Breaking down these walls allows you to step into a more expansive and fulfilling life. The act of facing fear also builds resilience. Each time you confront fear and move through it, you prove to yourself that you are capable of handling challenges. This confidence grows with each experience, creating a foundation of strength that supports you in future moments of uncertainty. Resilience doesn't mean you'll never feel fear again. It means you'll have the tools to face it without being paralyzed by it. Through awareness, curiosity, and courage, fear reveals itself for what it truly is: a passing wave, not an insurmountable force. By confronting fear directly, you reclaim your power and begin to live with greater freedom and authenticity. Fear begins to dissolve when you confront it directly, recognizing its impermanent and illusory nature. But there's another layer of fear that subtly infiltrates the mind, the endless stream of what-ifs that fuels overthinking. These thoughts often masquerade as preparation or caution, but instead pull you into an endless loop of worry, keeping you trapped in the future at the expense of the present. Breaking free from this cycle isn't about silencing the mind completely. It's about learning to redirect its energy and focus. Overthinking often starts with a simple question: what if this happens? Which spirals into increasingly unlikely scenarios. The mind magnifies potential problems, weaving a web of possibilities that rarely align with reality. This mental chatter isn't harmless. It drains your energy, amplifies anxiety, and prevents you from fully engaging with the here and now. The more you entertain these thoughts, the stronger they grow, turning your mind into a storm of uncertainty and fear. Breaking free from overthinking begins with awareness. Many people don't even realize they're caught in a cycle of what-ifs until they feel overwhelmed. Start by noticing when your mind begins to wander into the future. Pay attention to the tone of your thoughts. Are they constructive or are they focused on catastrophes? By recognizing this pattern, you create a moment of choice, a chance to interrupt the cycle before it takes hold. One powerful strategy is to challenge the validity of your thoughts. When a what-if arises, ask yourself whether there's any real evidence to support it. Most anxious thoughts are based on assumptions rather than facts. By questioning these assumptions, you weaken their grip on your mind. Often, you'll find that the scenarios you're worried about are not only unlikely, but also out of your control. Grounding techniques can help bring your focus back to the present. Overthinking pulls you into an imagined future, but grounding anchors you in what's real. Simple actions like noticing the sensation of your feet on the ground, taking deep breaths, or observing your surroundings can disrupt the cycle of worry. These practices remind you that while your thoughts may be racing, the present moment remains stable and accessible. Another way to break free from overthinking is to limit the time you spend entertaining hypothetical scenarios. Set a timer and give yourself permission to think about a problem for a set amount of time, perhaps 5 or 10 minutes. Once the timer goes off, redirect your focus to something else. This creates a boundary for your thoughts, preventing them from consuming your entire day. Overthinking often stems from a desire for control. The mind believes that by anticipating every possible outcome, it can avoid mistakes or discomfort. But this need for control is an illusion. Life is inherently unpredictable, and no amount of planning can account for every variable. Accepting this truth can be liberating. Instead of trying to control the future, focus on what you can do in the present to prepare without fixating on every possible outcome. Practicing gratitude is another effective way to counteract overthinking. When your mind is preoccupied with what-ifs, it's easy to lose sight of what's good and stable in your life. Gratitude shifts your attention to the positive, grounding you in the present and reducing the need to dwell on hypothetical problems. By regularly reflecting on what you're thankful for, you train your mind to focus on abundance rather than fear. Self-compassion is crucial when addressing overthinking. Many people judge themselves harshly for their anxious thoughts, creating a cycle of shame and guilt. Instead of criticizing yourself, approach your thoughts with kindness. Acknowledge that overthinking is a natural response to uncertainty, not a personal failure. This gentler perspective creates space for growth and change. Mindfulness meditation can also help you manage overthinking. By practicing sitting with your thoughts without judgment, you learn to observe them as passing phenomena rather than truths. This practice builds a sense of detachment, allowing you to let go of anxious thoughts instead of clinging to them. Over time, mindfulness rewires your brain, reducing the frequency and intensity of overthinking. Physical activity is another powerful tool for breaking free from mental chatter. Movement engages your body and shifts your focus away from your thoughts. Activities like walking, yoga, or even cleaning can provide a sense of clarity and calm. Physical activity also releases endorphins, which counteract the stress hormones triggered by anxiety. Developing a routine can also help reduce overthinking. When your day is structured, your mind has less room to wander aimlessly. Routines provide a sense of stability and predictability, creating a safe space within which you can focus on productive and meaningful tasks. This doesn't mean rigidly scheduling every moment, but establishing anchors like a morning ritual or regular breaks for mindfulness. Overthinking often arises when you feel overwhelmed by choices or responsibilities. Breaking tasks into smaller, manageable steps can help. Focus on one action at a time rather than trying to tackle everything at once. This approach reduces the mental load, allowing you to approach challenges with greater clarity and confidence. Journaling is another valuable tool for managing overthinking. Writing down your thoughts allows you to externalize them, making them easier to examine and challenge. Journaling can also help you identify recurring patterns in your thinking, giving you insight into the triggers that fuel your anxiety. Over time, this awareness helps you address these triggers more effectively. It's also important to limit your exposure to triggers that amplify overthinking. Social media, news cycles, or certain conversations can feed your anxiety if not managed mindfully. Set boundaries for your consumption of these sources and prioritize activities that bring you peace and joy instead. The practice of acceptance is foundational to breaking free from overthinking. Accept that uncertainty is a natural part of life and that not every question has an immediate answer. This doesn't mean giving up on problem solving, but recognizing that some outcomes are beyond your control. By embracing uncertainty, you free yourself from the need to have everything figured out. Connect with others. Overthinking can feel isolating, but sharing your thoughts with someone you trust can provide relief and perspective. Talking things through often reveals that your fears are less overwhelming than they seemed in your mind. The support and understanding of others remind you that you don't have to face anxiety alone. Breaking free from the what-ifs is not about eliminating anxious thoughts entirely, but learning to manage them in a way that supports your well-being. By challenging your assumptions, grounding yourself in the present, and practicing self-compassion, you can reduce the mental chatter that fuels anxiety. This process creates space for peace and clarity, allowing you to move forward with confidence. Breaking free from the endless cycle of what-ifs allows you to reclaim the present, yet there's a deeper layer that feeds the anxiety of overthinking: our relationship with control. The paradox of control lies in the fact that the more you try to dictate life's outcomes, the more fear and frustration grow. Life's inherent unpredictability clashes with the mind's need for stability, creating a tension that fuels worry and resistance. Letting go of this need for control is not about surrendering to chaos. It's about finding peace in uncertainty and trusting your ability to navigate the unknown. Control often feels like a safety net. You plan meticulously, set rules, and try to predict outcomes, believing these efforts will shield you from harm or disappointment. But life doesn't always follow your script. When plans fail or circumstances shift unexpectedly, the illusion of control shatters, leaving you vulnerable to fear and doubt. This cycle repeats as you double down on efforts to regain control, trapping yourself in a loop of anxiety. The desire for control stems from the mind's attempt to avoid discomfort. It seeks guarantees in an uncertain world, clinging to routines, relationships, and goals as anchors of stability. Yet this very clinging intensifies fear because it sets up unrealistic expectations. When life inevitably deviates from your plans, the resulting disappointment and uncertainty can feel overwhelming. The truth is, control is a limited tool in a limitless world. Letting go of control begins with accepting that uncertainty is a natural part of life. No matter how carefully you plan, unforeseen events will occur and outcomes will vary. This acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means shifting your focus from controlling the uncontrollable to managing your response. Instead of bracing against uncertainty, you learn to flow with it, adapting to changes with resilience and creativity. Trust plays a crucial role in this process. Fear often arises from a lack of trust in yourself, in others, or in the unfolding of life. By cultivating trust, you create a foundation of inner stability that allows you to face uncertainty with confidence. Trust doesn't eliminate challenges, but it gives you the strength to move through them without being paralyzed by fear. Control is often rooted in fear of failure. You may believe that if you can control every detail, you can avoid mistakes or ensure success. But failure is not the enemy. It's a natural part of growth. When you shift your perspective, seeing failure as a teacher rather than a threat, the need for control begins to fade. You realize that growth comes not from avoiding mistakes, but from learning through experience. One way to ease the grip of control is to focus on what is within your influence. While you cannot dictate outcomes, you can choose your actions, attitudes, and intentions. By directing your energy toward these elements, you regain a sense of agency without the stress of trying to micromanage life. This focus on personal responsibility fosters empowerment rather than anxiety. Control also manifests in relationships, where the desire to influence others' thoughts, feelings, or behaviors often leads to tension. Letting go of this need for control allows you to approach relationships with greater respect and compassion. You stop trying to fix or change others and instead focus on fostering authentic connections. This shift reduces conflict and deepens trust, creating healthier dynamics. Another area where control plays a significant role is in decision-making. Fear of making the wrong choice can lead to overthinking and indecision as you try to predict every possible outcome. Letting go of the need for perfect decisions involves embracing the idea that there are no guarantees. Every choice carries risks, but it also carries opportunities for growth and learning. By accepting this, you free yourself from the paralysis of over-analyzing. Breathwork can serve as an anchor when the urge to control becomes overwhelming. The breath is a reminder of the present moment, a steady rhythm that grounds you when life feels uncertain. By focusing on your breath, you calm the nervous system and create a sense of inner peace. This practice helps you approach uncertainty with a clearer mind and an open heart. Gratitude is another powerful tool for finding peace in uncertainty. When you focus on what you already have, you shift your attention away from what you can't control. Gratitude fosters a sense of abundance, reminding you that even in the midst of unpredictability, there is much to appreciate. This perspective reduces the need to cling to outcomes, allowing you to approach life with greater ease. Mindfulness is essential in navigating the paradox of control. By staying present, you interrupt the mind's habit of projecting fears into the future. Mindfulness teaches you to observe life as it unfolds, moment by moment, without the need to force or manipulate it. This practice cultivates acceptance, helping you find peace in the midst of uncertainty. Self-compassion also plays a vital role. Letting go of control often involves confronting vulnerabilities, mistakes, and fears. Instead of judging yourself harshly for these experiences, meet them with kindness. Self-compassion creates a supportive inner environment where you can explore uncertainty without fear of failure or rejection. This support builds resilience, allowing you to face life's unpredictability with courage. Trusting the flow of life doesn't mean ignoring your responsibilities or goals. It means balancing effort with surrender, doing your best while accepting that some things are beyond your control. This balance reduces stress, as you no longer feel the need to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You learn to trust that life will unfold as it's meant to, even if the path looks different from what you envisioned. Letting go of control also fosters creativity and adaptability. When you're not fixated on a specific outcome, you're open to new possibilities and perspectives. This openness allows you to respond to challenges with innovation rather than rigidity. You begin to see uncertainty not as a threat, but as a space for growth and discovery. The practice of surrender is central to this process. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing resistance. When you stop fighting against what is, you create space for acceptance and peace. Surrender allows you to flow with life's changes rather than being dragged by them, reducing fear and increasing your sense of freedom. Recognizing the interconnectedness of life can also help ease the need for control. You are part of a larger web of relationships, events, and forces that influence each other in ways you cannot always see. This awareness humbles the ego, reminding you that while your actions matter, you are not solely responsible for the course of life. This understanding brings a sense of relief and perspective, reducing the pressure to control every detail. Learning to let go of control is a lifelong practice, one that deepens with time and experience. Each time you release the need to dictate outcomes, you build trust in yourself and in life. Over time, this trust becomes a source of inner strength, allowing you to face uncertainty with calm and confidence. Letting go doesn't mean losing. It means gaining freedom from the burden of unnecessary fear. As we explore the balance between effort and surrender, we pave the way for a deeper understanding of how to enjoy life fully without clinging to outcomes. This next step brings us closer to a life of peace and fulfillment. Letting go of control reveals a powerful truth. Life is not meant to be gripped tightly, but held lightly with open hands. When you release the need to dictate outcomes, you open yourself to a deeper experience of life. One that is richer and freer because it's unburdened by fear and clinging. Yet, this release introduces a paradox. How do you fully enjoy life without becoming attached to its fleeting moments? The answer lies in practicing non-attachment, a skill that allows you to embrace life's joys while remaining free from the pain of holding on too tightly. Non-attachment is not about detachment or indifference. It doesn't mean withdrawing from life or avoiding emotions. Instead, it's a way of engaging deeply with the present while understanding that everything is impermanent. When you enjoy something, a relationship, a success, or even a simple moment of peace, non-attachment allows you to savor it without fearing its end. This freedom transforms the way you experience life, replacing anxiety with gratitude and clinging with openness. Clinging arises from the belief that you need something or someone to feel complete. It convinces you that if you could just hold on to a specific outcome or preserve a fleeting moment, you would be happy. But this grasping creates tension, as life's nature is to change. Non-attachment invites you to shift this mindset, reminding you that joy doesn't come from possession, but from presence. When you stop trying to own or control an experience, you make space to appreciate it fully. One of the keys to practicing non-attachment is understanding impermanence. Every moment, no matter how beautiful or challenging, is temporary. This truth can feel unsettling at first, but it also holds the key to liberation. When you accept impermanence, you stop resisting the natural flow of life. Instead of clinging to what is or yearning for what was, you learn to meet each moment as it comes, knowing that its value lies in its uniqueness. Non-attachment also encourages you to let go of expectations. Expectations create a rigid framework for how life should unfold, setting you up for disappointment when reality doesn't align. By releasing these expectations, you allow life to surprise you. This openness doesn't mean abandoning your goals or desires. It means approaching them with flexibility and curiosity. When you pursue your dreams without attachment, you free yourself from the fear of failure and the pressure of perfection. Relationships are one of the most profound areas where non-attachment can transform your experience. Love and connection are often mistaken for possession, leading to jealousy, fear, and dependence. Non-attachment doesn't mean loving less, it means loving more freely. When you let go of the need to control or cling to another person, you create space for authenticity and mutual growth. This kind of love is not diminished by change or separation, because it is rooted in respect and presence, not ownership. Non-attachment also applies to your relationship with yourself. Many people cling to fixed identities or labels, believing they define who they are. This attachment can become a prison, limiting your ability to grow and adapt. Non-attachment invites you to see yourself as fluid and evolving, capable of change and renewal. This perspective reduces the fear of making mistakes or stepping into the unknown, as you no longer see your worth as tied to a single version of yourself. Practicing non-attachment doesn't mean avoiding ambition or pleasure. It means pursuing your passions with an understanding that the journey matters more than the destination. When you focus on the process rather than the outcome, you find joy in the act itself, whether it's creating art, building relationships, or exploring new ideas. This shift not only reduces anxiety, but also deepens your appreciation for the present. Non-attachment to material possessions is another important practice. While there's nothing wrong with enjoying what you have, problems arise when your identity or happiness becomes tied to these things. Possessions are impermanent, and clinging to them creates a sense of insecurity, as their loss feels like a threat to your well-being. Non-attachment doesn't mean renouncing everything. It means recognizing that your true value lies within, not in what you own. This perspective allows you to enjoy material things without being consumed by them. Gratitude plays a crucial role in non-attachment. When you appreciate what you have without trying to hold on to it, you create a sense of abundance. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you fear losing to what you already have, fostering a mindset of contentment. This practice helps you see that life's gifts are not diminished by their impermanence, but made more precious because of it. Non-attachment also helps you navigate challenges and setbacks with greater ease. When you're attached to a specific outcome, failure can feel devastating. But when you release that attachment, you can approach challenges with curiosity and resilience. Instead of seeing setbacks as personal failures, you see them as opportunities to learn and grow. This perspective reduces the fear of failure and allows you to move forward with confidence. Mindfulness is a powerful tool for cultivating non-attachment. By staying present, you learn to observe life as it unfolds without clinging to or pushing away your experiences. Mindfulness teaches you to meet each moment with openness, whether it brings joy or difficulty. This practice helps you develop a sense of equanimity, allowing you to navigate life's ups and downs with balance and grace. Breathwork can also support non-attachment. Each breath you take is a reminder of life's flow. An inhale followed by an exhale, a constant cycle of taking in and letting go. By focusing on your breath, you anchor yourself in the present and cultivate a sense of ease. This practice reminds you that letting go is not about loss, but about creating space for renewal. Non-attachment doesn't mean denying your emotions. It means allowing yourself to feel fully without being defined by those feelings. Joy, sadness, excitement and fear are all part of the human experience. Non-attachment teaches you to honor these emotions without clinging to them, trusting that they will pass like clouds in the sky. This trust frees you from being swept away by emotional highs or lows. One of the most profound aspects of non-attachment is the freedom it brings. When you stop clinging to outcomes, you free yourself from the anxiety of what if and the regret of what was. You become more present, more adaptable, and more at peace. This freedom doesn't mean life becomes easy, but it does mean you approach challenges with greater clarity and strength. Non-attachment also fosters deeper connections with others. When you're not attached to how people perceive you or how relationships should be, you create space for authentic interaction. This openness allows you to connect on a deeper level, building relationships based on mutual respect and understanding rather than fear or control. Letting go of attachment doesn't mean letting go of love, passion, or ambition. It means approaching these aspects of life with an open heart and a willingness to embrace change. Non-attachment allows you to enjoy life's beauty without being consumed by its impermanence, creating a sense of peace that sustains you through all of life's transitions. Non-attachment teaches you to embrace life with openness, accepting its changes without clinging to outcomes. But this journey often reveals an unexpected barrier, the harsh inner voice of self-judgment. Fear thrives in this critical space, whispering doubts about your worth, decisions, and abilities. To truly overcome fear, you must turn inward with compassion, replacing judgment with kindness. Self-compassion is not indulgence. It's a profound act of courage that allows you to meet fear and failure with resilience, transforming your relationship with yourself. Fear of failure often stems from the stories we tell ourselves. These narratives paint mistakes as personal flaws, magnify shortcomings, and equate setbacks with unworthiness. This harsh internal dialogue fuels anxiety, as you become trapped in a cycle of proving yourself to avoid criticism, both from others and from within. Self-compassion interrupts this cycle, offering a new narrative, one rooted in understanding, forgiveness, and growth. The first step in cultivating self-compassion is recognizing the voice of self-judgment. This voice may disguise itself as motivation, pushing you to do better by highlighting what you lack. But instead of building confidence, it erodes it, creating a fear of failure that keeps you from taking risks. By identifying this voice, you create space to challenge it, replacing criticism with encouragement. Self-compassion invites you to see failure not as a reflection of your worth, but as a natural part of learning and growth. When you approach mistakes with kindness, you shift from self-punishment to self-improvement. This perspective doesn't excuse errors, but uses them as opportunities for reflection and progress. Fear begins to dissolve when you trust that failure is a step forward, not a defining moment of inadequacy. Many people struggle with self-compassion because they confuse it with self-pity or weakness. However, self-compassion is an active and intentional practice. It requires courage to face your fears and shortcomings without turning away. It also demands a willingness to treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a close friend. This kindness doesn't diminish accountability. It enhances it by fostering a supportive inner environment where growth feels safe. Fear often takes root in comparison. The belief that you should be further along, more successful, or less flawed than others creates a constant sense of inadequacy. Self-compassion shifts your focus from comparison to connection, reminding you that struggle is a universal human experience. This shared understanding reduces the isolation that fear thrives on, replacing it with a sense of belonging and solidarity. One of the most profound aspects of self-compassion is its ability to soothe the physical effects of fear. When anxiety arises, the body reacts with tension, a racing heart, and shallow breathing. Self-compassion helps you recognize these sensations as natural responses rather than signs of failure. By responding to your body with care, through deep breaths, gentle words, or a calming presence, you teach yourself to feel safe, even in moments of fear. Mindfulness is an essential component of self-compassion. By staying present with your thoughts and emotions, you can observe fear without becoming consumed by it. Mindfulness teaches you to approach your inner experience with curiosity rather than judgment, creating a sense of space where self-compassion can thrive. This practice helps you break the habit of spiraling into self-criticism when fear arises. Another powerful tool is self-kindness in action. This can take many forms. Allowing yourself to rest when you're tired, setting boundaries to protect your well-being, or celebrating small victories instead of focusing on perceived shortcomings. Each act of kindness reinforces the message that you are worthy of care and respect, reducing fear's hold over your choices and perceptions. Gratitude can also deepen self-compassion. By focusing on what you appreciate about yourself, your strengths, efforts, and resilience, you counteract the negativity bias that fuels fear and self-judgment. Gratitude helps you see yourself through a more balanced lens, acknowledging both your challenges and your triumphs. Self-compassion also involves letting go of perfectionism, the belief that you must always succeed, never make mistakes, or meet impossibly high standards creates a constant state of fear. Self-compassion allows you to embrace your imperfections as part of your humanity. This acceptance doesn't mean settling for less, but striving with the understanding that your worth is not tied to your achievements. Forgiveness is another vital aspect of self-compassion. Many fears are rooted in past experiences, failures, regrets, or moments when you felt you fell short. Holding on to these memories with judgment keeps fear alive, as it becomes tied to a fear of repeating the past. Forgiveness frees you from this cycle, allowing you to learn from your experiences without being defined by them. Boundaries are an often overlooked aspect of self-compassion. Fear of disappointing others or being judged can lead to overcommitment and burnout. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect that communicates your needs and limits. This practice reduces fear by creating a sense of safety and balance, allowing you to prioritize your well-being without guilt. Developing self-compassion is a journey, not a destination. It requires practice and patience, especially if you're accustomed to self-criticism. Start small, with moments of kindness or gratitude, and build from there. Over time, these practices become habits, creating a foundation of self-compassion that supports you in facing fear with strength and grace. Self-compassion also transforms how you approach relationships. When you treat yourself with kindness, you model that same kindness in your interactions with others. This creates deeper connections, as fear of judgment or rejection lessens. You become more authentic, willing to show vulnerability because you trust in your own worth, regardless of how others respond. Letting go of fear through self-compassion doesn't mean you'll never feel fear again. It means that when fear arises, you'll have the tools to face it without judgment or avoidance. Self-compassion creates a sense of inner stability, a foundation of care and respect that supports you no matter what challenges you face. As you deepen your relationship with yourself, fear begins to lose its power. You learn that your worth is not determined by external validation or flawless performance. Instead, it comes from within, from the simple but profound truth that you are enough, just as you are. With this understanding, you can approach life's uncertainties with courage, resilience, and peace. Self-compassion lays the foundation for inner stability, helping you face fear with kindness rather than judgment. Yet, fear often manifests in the body before the mind fully recognizes it. Your chest tightens, your breathing quickens, and tension builds. These physical sensations intensify fear, creating a loop where the mind and body feed each other's anxiety. The breath, however, holds a profound power to disrupt this cycle. In Buddhist practice, the breath is more than a physiological function. It's a bridge between the body and mind, a tool that can dissolve fear by grounding you in the present. The breath is always with you, steady and reliable, yet it's easy to overlook its significance. When fear strikes, breathing becomes shallow and rapid, a signal that your body is entering a state of heightened alert. This response, while natural, can escalate anxiety if left unchecked. Mindful breathing, on the other hand, offers a way to calm the body and bring clarity to the mind. By consciously slowing your breath, you interrupt fear's momentum, creating space for awareness and ease. Breathing connects you to the present moment. Fear often pulls you into the future, spinning scenarios of what might happen, or drags you into the past, replaying moments of pain. The breath, however, is only ever here and now. When you focus on it, you anchor yourself in the reality of the present, which is often far less threatening than the fears conjured by the mind. This grounding effect helps you see fear for what it is, a temporary reaction, not an enduring truth. The rhythm of the breath also mirrors the rhythm of life. Inhale, exhale, take in, let go. When fear grips you, the breath reminds you that nothing is permanent, not even anxiety. Each exhale becomes an act of release, a way to let go of tension and the stories that fear creates. This process doesn't erase challenges, but equips you to face them with a sense of calm and presence. Breathwork also affects the nervous system, shifting it from a state of stress to one of relaxation. Fear activates the sympathetic nervous system, triggering the fight-or-flight response. Mindful breathing, especially slow and deep breaths, engages the parasympathetic nervous system, signaling to your body that it's safe to relax. This physiological shift reduces the intensity of fear, making it easier to approach challenges with clarity. Mindful breathing is simple yet profound. It doesn't require any special tools or settings, only your attention. You can practice it anywhere, while standing in line, during a difficult conversation, or in the quiet of your own space. Each breath becomes an opportunity to reconnect with your inner stillness, a reminder that even in the midst of fear, you have the capacity for peace. Consistency in breathwork deepens its effects. Over time, it retrains your body and mind to respond to stress with calm rather than panic. This practice creates a reservoir of resilience, a sense of inner stability that you can draw upon whenever fear arises. It becomes not just a reaction to fear, but a proactive way to cultivate serenity. The breath also teaches you patience. Fear often demands immediate resolution, pressuring you to act or escape. Breathing slows this urgency, allowing you to sit with uncertainty without being overwhelmed by it. This pause creates a space where wisdom can arise, guiding your response rather than letting fear dictate your actions. Breath awareness enhances mindfulness. By focusing on the subtleties of your breath, the coolness of the inhale, the warmth of the exhale, the rise and fall of your chest, you sharpen your ability to stay present. This mindfulness extends beyond the practice itself, helping you approach life's challenges with greater attention and intentionality. Fear loses its grip when you meet it with awareness rather than reactivity. Breathwork also fosters a sense of gratitude. Each breath is a gift, a sign of life's continuity. By acknowledging this, you shift your focus from what frightens you to what sustains you. Gratitude, even for something as simple as breathing, counters fear's tendency to focus on lack or danger, creating a more balanced perspective. In moments of fear, the breath acts as an anchor. When your thoughts spiral or your body tenses, returning to the breath grounds you in something steady and familiar. This anchor doesn't eliminate fear, but prevents it from carrying you away. Over time, this practice builds trust in your ability to navigate difficult emotions without being consumed by them. The breath also connects you to your body. Fear often pulls you into your mind, detaching you from the physical sensations that accompany it. By focusing on your breath, you reintegrate body and mind, creating a sense of wholeness. This connection reduces the fragmentation that fear can create, fostering a sense of unity and balance. Breathing with intention also enhances self-compassion. Each breath becomes a gesture of care, a way of nurturing yourself in the face of fear. This kindness softens the edges of anxiety, reminding you that you are deserving of peace, even in challenging moments. Incorporating breathwork into your daily routine amplifies its benefits. Whether it's through formal meditation or brief moments of awareness throughout the day, regular practice strengthens your ability to remain calm under pressure. This consistency transforms mindful breathing from a reactive tool to a foundational habit, one that supports you in all aspects of life. Breathwork also invites you to explore the spaciousness within yourself. Fear often feels all-consuming, but the breath reminds you that there is more to you than your anxiety. With each inhale and exhale, you tap into a deeper sense of presence, one that transcends fear and connects you to your inner strength. As you deepen your relationship with your breath, fear begins to lose its immediacy. It becomes less of a threat and more of a signal, a call to return to the present, to reconnect with yourself, and to approach life with openness and courage. This practice doesn't eliminate challenges, but equips you to meet them with clarity, resilience, and peace. Through the breath, you discover a profound truth. You are not your fear. Fear is a passing experience, but the breath is a constant companion, always guiding you back to stillness. With this foundation, you can approach the storms of life with a calm heart, knowing that you have the tools to weather them. The breath serves as a gateway to calm, anchoring you in the present and reminding you of your inner strength. Yet, life's storms often require more than a moment of stillness. They demand the cultivation of equanimity, a deep and lasting stability that allows you to face challenges without being consumed by fear or despair. Equanimity is not about suppressing emotions or ignoring difficulties. It's about maintaining balance, no matter how turbulent the circumstances, and responding to life's uncertainties with clarity and courage. Equanimity begins with perspective. Fear often narrows your vision, making challenges appear larger and more overwhelming than they truly are. By cultivating a broader perspective, you can see difficulties as part of a larger picture rather than insurmountable obstacles. This shift reduces their emotional weight, allowing you to approach them with calm and reason. Perspective doesn't dismiss challenges. It helps you place them within the context of your resilience and resources. Acceptance is a cornerstone of equanimity. Resistance to life's challenges often intensifies fear and stress as you expend energy fighting against what cannot be changed. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity or giving up. It means acknowledging reality as it is, without unnecessary judgment or resistance. When you accept what is beyond your control, you free yourself to focus on what you can influence, cultivating a sense of calm and agency. Equanimity also involves cultivating emotional balance. Fear often triggers reactive emotions like anger, frustration, or despair, which can cloud judgment and exacerbate challenges. Emotional balance doesn't mean suppressing these feelings. It means recognizing and managing them with mindfulness. By observing your emotions without judgment, you create space to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. This practice builds inner stability, allowing you to navigate life's ups and downs with greater ease. One powerful way to develop equanimity is through the practice of gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is lacking or challenging to what is present and sustaining. Even amid difficulties, there are always moments of light, small acts of kindness, lessons learned, or inner strengths revealed. By cultivating gratitude, you balance the weight of challenges with the recognition of life's gifts, fostering a sense of peace and resilience. Self-awareness is essential for equanimity. Many fears and anxieties stem from unexamined beliefs, assumptions, or habits. By turning inward with curiosity, you can identify the patterns that fuel stress and begin to shift them. Self-awareness helps you understand your triggers and responses, allowing you to approach challenges with greater clarity and intention. This awareness is not about self-criticism, but about understanding yourself deeply, which strengthens your ability to remain calm and composed. Mindfulness continues to be a vital tool in building equanimity. By staying present, you break the habit of catastrophizing about the future or dwelling on past mistakes. Mindfulness helps you engage with life as it unfolds, moment by moment, without becoming overwhelmed by fear or regret. This presence allows you to respond to challenges with clarity, seeing them as they are rather than as your fears project them to be. Patience is another cornerstone of equanimity. Fear often arises from the desire for immediate resolution or certainty, creating a sense of urgency that amplifies stress. Patience teaches you to sit with uncertainty, trusting that clarity and solutions will emerge in time. This practice doesn't mean inaction, but rather approaching challenges with steadiness and trust, knowing that haste often leads to mistakes or missed opportunities. Equanimity also involves letting go of attachment to outcomes. When you tie your sense of peace to specific results, you set yourself up for disappointment and anxiety. By focusing on your efforts rather than the results, you free yourself from the fear of failure. This shift allows you to approach challenges with an open mind, ready to adapt and learn, rather than clinging to a fixed idea of success. Compassion, both for yourself and others, strengthens equanimity. Fear often isolates, creating a sense of disconnection from yourself and those around you. Compassion bridges this gap, reminding you that struggle is a shared human experience. When you approach challenges with compassion, you reduce self-judgment and build a sense of solidarity, fostering resilience and balance. Equanimity doesn't mean being unaffected by life's challenges. It means being deeply rooted, so that while life's storms may sway you, they do not uproot you. This rootedness comes from cultivating inner strengths like resilience, adaptability, and trust. These qualities act as anchors, keeping you steady even when circumstances are uncertain or difficult. Equanimity also grows through the practice of detachment. Detachment is not indifference. It's the ability to engage with life's challenges without being consumed by them. When you practice detachment, you maintain a sense of inner stability, recognizing that your worth and well-being are not defined by external circumstances. This perspective allows you to approach challenges with a sense of curiosity and openness, rather than fear or resistance. Building equanimity requires consistent practice. Small, intentional steps, like pausing before reacting, taking a mindful breath, or reflecting on gratitude, create a foundation of stability over time. Each act of balance reinforces your ability to remain calm and centered, even in the face of difficulty. This practice is not about perfection, but progress, cultivating a sense of peace that grows with each moment of mindfulness and effort. The practice of equanimity also involves nurturing a sense of trust in life's flow. Fear often arises from the belief that you must control or anticipate every outcome. Trust reminds you that life, while unpredictable, often provides what you need to grow and learn. This trust doesn't eliminate challenges, but transforms how you face them, replacing fear with a sense of openness and curiosity. Equanimity helps you see challenges as opportunities for growth. Life's storms, while difficult, often reveal strengths, insights, and connections that you might not have discovered otherwise. By approaching challenges with equanimity, you shift your focus from what is lost to what can be gained, fostering a sense of resilience and hope. As you cultivate equanimity, you create a foundation of inner peace that supports you through life's uncertainties. This peace is not about avoiding challenges, but about meeting them with balance and strength, trusting in your ability to navigate whatever comes your way. Equanimity builds the foundation for facing life's storms with calm and clarity, but fear often signals more than mere turbulence. It points to opportunities for growth. Fear thrives at the edges of your comfort zone, warning you of risk, but also hinting at untapped potential. By transforming fear into a catalyst for growth, you unlock wisdom and strength that cannot be found within the safety of what is familiar. Instead of running from fear, you learn to step into it, embracing the discomfort as a pathway to deeper understanding and personal evolution. Fear often feels like a wall, but in truth, it's more like a door. It blocks your way only until you choose to approach it, and when you do, it reveals what lies on the other side: new experiences, perspectives, and possibilities. Avoiding fear may feel safe, but it also limits your life, keeping you confined to what is known. Growth requires stepping through the door, even when uncertainty looms on the other side. The discomfort of fear arises because growth demands change, and change often disrupts the status quo. Your mind, wired for survival, prefers the familiar, associating it with safety. Yet the very act of staying within your comfort zone creates stagnation. Fear, then, becomes a signal that you are at the edge of transformation, inviting you to expand beyond what you thought possible. Stepping into fear doesn't mean leaping recklessly into the unknown. It means approaching challenges with intention and courage. recognizing that fear is a companion on the path to growth, not an obstacle to be avoided. This shift in mindset transforms fear from a barrier into a teacher, showing you where you have room to evolve. When you confront fear, you dismantle its power over you. Fear often thrives on avoidance, growing larger and more intimidating the longer it is ignored. By facing it directly, you shrink its influence, proving to yourself that you're capable of handling uncertainty and discomfort. Each step you take outside your comfort zone reinforces your resilience, building confidence that you can face whatever comes. Growth through fear often involves vulnerability. Trying something new, pursuing a goal, or stepping into unfamiliar territory exposes you to the possibility of failure, rejection, or discomfort. Vulnerability, however, is not weakness. It is the birthplace of courage and connection. By embracing your vulnerability, you open yourself to experiences that deepen your understanding of yourself and the world around you. Fear is often tied to the fear of failure, but failure itself is not the enemy. Failure is a natural part of growth, a step along the path rather than a dead end. Each time you fail, you learn something valuable about your strengths, limitations, and opportunities for improvement. This perspective shifts failure from something to be feared to something to be embraced, knowing it is an essential ingredient in the process of becoming. Stepping outside your comfort zone also strengthens your adaptability. Life is inherently unpredictable, and clinging to the familiar can leave you unprepared for change. By challenging yourself to face fear and navigate uncertainty, you develop the flexibility and resourcefulness needed to thrive in a dynamic world. This adaptability becomes a source of strength, allowing you to approach life's challenges with creativity and confidence. Transforming fear into growth requires self-awareness. Fear often masks itself as logic or caution, convincing you to stay where you are. By examining your fears with curiosity, you can discern which ones are based on real threats and which are simply the mind's attempt to maintain the status quo. This self-awareness empowers you to make conscious choices rather than being driven by unconscious fears. Mindfulness plays a crucial role in this process. Fear often pulls your attention into the future, creating scenarios of what might go wrong. Mindfulness grounds you in the present, helping you approach challenges with clarity rather than being overwhelmed by hypothetical outcomes. By staying present, you can respond to fear with intention, seeing it as a signal to explore rather than retreat. Support from others can also help you transform fear into growth. Fear often isolates, making you feel as though you must face challenges alone. Sharing your fears with trusted friends, mentors, or communities provides encouragement and perspective, reminding you that growth is a shared human experience. This connection reduces the weight of fear, making it easier to take the next step. Gratitude can also shift your relationship with fear. Instead of focusing on what you might lose, gratitude reminds you of what you have gained through previous challenges. Each time you faced fear and grew stronger, you added to your reservoir of courage and resilience. Gratitude for these experiences builds trust in your ability to navigate future uncertainties. Breathwork remains a valuable tool for managing fear as you step outside your comfort zone. The physical sensations of fear, racing heart, shallow breath, tension, can be overwhelming, but the breath offers a way to calm these reactions. By breathing deeply and intentionally, you signal to your body that it is safe, creating a sense of stability that supports you in moving forward. Stepping into fear also deepens your sense of purpose. Growth often involves pursuing goals or values that matter deeply to you, even when they require courage and risk. Fear highlights what is important, guiding you toward what aligns with your true self. This alignment with purpose gives you the motivation and strength to face fear, knowing that the journey is meaningful. Each step outside your comfort zone expands what you believe is possible. What once felt intimidating becomes familiar, creating a new baseline of confidence. This expansion is not about conquering fear, but about integrating it into your journey, recognizing it as a natural part of growth rather than a sign of weakness. The wisdom behind stepping outside your comfort zone lies in the realization that fear is not the end of the story. It is the beginning. Each time you face fear and choose growth, you rewrite the narrative of your life, creating a story of resilience, courage, and transformation. This story is not free from challenges, but it is rich with meaning and possibility. Stepping outside your comfort zone reveals how growth often requires trust in the flow of life. Yet, there's a deeper lesson to uncover: how forcing outcomes can disrupt that flow and create unnecessary resistance. The essence of life is fluidity, a natural rhythm that moves us forward when we align with it rather than push against it. Forcing something, whether it's a decision, a relationship, or a path, disrupts this harmony and often leads to frustration, stress, and misaligned outcomes. The wisdom of not forcing anything reveals a profound truth. What is meant for you comes naturally when you let go and trust the process. The need to force often arises from impatience or fear. When life doesn't move at the pace you desire or deliver the outcomes you expect, there's a tendency to push harder, to control the situation through willpower or determination. While effort and persistence are important, they must be balanced with acceptance and surrender. Forcing something that isn't ready to unfold creates tension, like trying to open a flower bud before it blooms. This tension doesn't speed up the process. It stalls growth and prevents clarity. Letting go of the need to force begins with trusting the timing of life. Every season has its purpose, and every delay holds a lesson. When you accept that some things take time, you free yourself from the stress of trying to control what is beyond your influence. This trust doesn't mean passivity. It means aligning your actions with the natural flow of events, allowing life to unfold in its own rhythm. Forcing outcomes also stems from attachment. When you cling to a specific result or vision, you close yourself off to other possibilities. Life often has plans far greater than what you can imagine, but these plans require flexibility and openness to reveal themselves. By releasing attachment, you make space for the unexpected, allowing opportunities to arise naturally rather than trying to force them into existence. One of the greatest lessons in not forcing anything is found in relationships. Trying to change others, control their actions, or mold them into your expectations often leads to frustration and conflict. True connection thrives in authenticity and mutual respect, not in force or manipulation. When you allow people to be who they are, you create space for genuine relationships to flourish. This approach doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior, but embracing the wisdom that love and trust cannot be forced. They must be freely given. In decision-making, forcing can create pressure and lead to choices misaligned with your values or goals. When you rush to make something happen out of fear or impatience, you often overlook important details or fail to listen to your intuition. Taking a step back, Pausing and allowing clarity to emerge ensures that your actions are guided by wisdom rather than urgency. This process honors the importance of timing and allows decisions to align with your deeper purpose. The act of forcing often creates resistance. When you push too hard, whether on yourself or others, you meet equal and opposite force pushing back. This resistance drains energy and creates friction, making progress more difficult. By letting go and moving with the flow, you reduce this resistance, allowing progress to happen more effortlessly. It's like swimming with the current rather than against it. The journey becomes smoother and more fulfilling. Mindfulness is a powerful practice for recognizing when you are forcing something. By staying present, you can observe the subtle signs of tension, frustration, or resistance that indicate misalignment. Mindfulness helps you pause and reassess, allowing you to adjust your approach and move with greater ease. This awareness cultivates patience and trust, guiding you toward actions that resonate with the moment. Non-attachment is another key principle in not forcing anything. By letting go of the need to control outcomes, you free yourself from the anxiety of whether things will turn out as planned. This freedom allows you to engage fully with the process, finding joy and meaning in the journey rather than fixating on the destination. Non-attachment doesn't mean giving up on your goals. It means pursuing them with an open heart and a willingness to adapt. Gratitude shifts your perspective from what isn't happening to what is already unfolding. When you focus on what you have rather than what you think you need, you reduce the urge to force situations. Gratitude fosters contentment and trust, reminding you that life's gifts come in their own time and form. This practice helps you approach life with a sense of abundance rather than lack. Breathwork can also guide you when the urge to force arises. The breath is a constant reminder of the balance between effort and surrender. Each inhale is an act of taking in, and each exhale is an act of letting go. When you feel the tension of forcing, returning to your breath can help you reset and find the natural rhythm of the moment. This practice grounds you in the present, reducing the need to push against life's flow. The wisdom of not forcing anything also applies to self-growth. The desire to change quickly or achieve immediate results often leads to burnout or frustration. Growth is a gradual process, requiring patience and self-compassion. Forcing yourself to move faster than your natural pace ignores the importance of reflection and integration. By honoring the pace of your journey, you create space for lasting transformation. Trusting life's flow doesn't mean abandoning effort or ambition. It means finding a balance between action and surrender, between striving and allowing. This balance reduces stress and opens the door to greater creativity, as you are no longer confined by rigid expectations. When you work with life rather than against it, you find that progress comes more naturally and with less struggle. Letting go of force doesn't mean letting go of responsibility. It means approaching your efforts with wisdom and flexibility, knowing that some things are within your control while others are not. This perspective allows you to focus on what matters most, releasing the unnecessary burdens of trying to control everything. When you stop forcing, you also deepen your connection with others. Relationships built on force or manipulation lack authenticity and trust. By allowing others the freedom to be themselves, you create space for mutual growth and understanding. This approach fosters stronger and more meaningful connections, as it is rooted in respect rather than control. The beauty of not forcing anything is that it aligns you with the natural flow of life. Instead of struggling against the current, you learn to move with it, trusting that you will arrive where you are meant to be. This trust brings peace and clarity, allowing you to navigate life's uncertainties with grace and confidence. Letting go of force opens the door to deeper wisdom, showing that life flows best when we align with its natural rhythm. Yet even as we release control, the mind often resists. It clings to its chatter, spinning stories of doubt, worry, and distraction. This noise creates inner conflict, making it difficult to find clarity or peace. To move forward, one must embrace the art of silencing the mind, not by suppressing its activity, but by understanding its nature and allowing it to settle on its own. Here, the timeless wisdom of Zen offers powerful lessons through stories that reveal how emptiness of mind is not a void, but a space for true understanding. In Zen, the mind is often compared to a teacup. If the cup is already full, nothing more can be poured into it. The overflow represents how our mental clutter prevents us from absorbing new wisdom or seeing life clearly. To silence the mind is to empty the cup, creating space for insight and peace. This process isn't about forcing thoughts to stop, but about observing them without attachment, allowing them to fade naturally. Silence is not the absence of thought, it is the presence of awareness. The first story centers on a teacher who welcomed a learned scholar seeking enlightenment. The scholar began speaking endlessly of his knowledge, leaving no room for dialogue. The teacher served tea, pouring until the cup overflowed. Startled, the scholar exclaimed, "Stop! The cup is full!" The teacher smiled, replying, "Like this cup, your mind is full. How can I teach you unless you first empty it?" The lesson is clear. The mind must let go of its rigid certainties to make room for growth. Silence creates that space, allowing us to release the need to know everything and embrace the wisdom of not knowing. Another Zen story speaks of a farmer whose horse ran away. Neighbors sympathized, saying, "What bad luck?" The farmer calmly replied, "Maybe." Later, the horse returned with a group of wild horses. "What good fortune?" they said. Again he replied, "Maybe." When his son broke his leg taming a horse, they exclaimed, "How terrible!" He answered, "Maybe." Shortly after, soldiers came to recruit for war, but left his son due to the injury. The story reveals how the mind's constant labeling of events as good or bad fuels unnecessary tension. Silence teaches us to step back, withholding judgment and allowing life to unfold without rushing to conclusions. The third story involves a monk meditating by a river. A scorpion fell into the water, struggling. The monk reached to save it and was stung. Another passerby asked why he would help when the scorpion's nature was to sting. The monk replied, "Because it is my nature to save." The lesson lies in stilling the mind's arguments, whether to act, whether the effort is worth it, and choosing actions aligned with your true self. Silence is not just the absence of noise. It is the clarity that allows you to act from a place of integrity. Emptying the mind does not mean becoming thoughtless. It means freeing yourself from being ruled by thought. The mind is a tool, not a master. When thoughts are left unchecked, they create unnecessary narratives and anxieties. But when you observe thoughts without engaging, they lose their grip. This practice creates a spacious silence where the mind rests instead of reacts. It is here that true understanding arises. Silencing the mind requires patience and practice. The mind resists stillness, clinging to its habitual patterns of overthinking. Mindfulness provides a pathway to calm this resistance. By focusing on the breath, sensations, or simple awareness of the present, you ground yourself in the now. This focus draws energy away from the mental noise, allowing silence to emerge naturally. The power of silence lies in its ability to reveal truth. When the mind is noisy, it distorts perception, coloring your view of yourself and the world with fears and biases. Silence strips away these distortions, offering clarity. In this space, you see challenges for what they are, not insurmountable obstacles, but opportunities for growth. Another vital aspect of silence is its ability to foster deep listening. When the mind quiets, you not only hear your inner voice more clearly, but also connect more authentically with others. Conversations shift from reactive exchanges to moments of genuine understanding. Silence creates room for empathy, dissolving barriers of misunderstanding. Letting go of judgment is a natural extension of silencing the mind. The mind's chatter often fuels judgment, categorizing experiences as good or bad, right or wrong. This labeling creates tension and limits your ability to fully engage with life. Silence allows you to experience without judgment, freeing you to embrace life's complexity with openness. Silencing the mind also enhances creativity. The mental chatter that often distracts you from the present can block the flow of ideas and inspiration. When the mind quiets, creativity flows freely, unburdened by doubt or over-analysis. This is why many creative breakthroughs occur during moments of stillness or after periods of reflection. One of the greatest challenges in silencing the mind is the fear of emptiness. The mind often equates silence with void, assuming that without its constant activity, there is nothing. But silence is not emptiness. It is fullness without noise. It is a state where everything essential remains and everything unnecessary falls away. In this fullness, you find a deep connection to yourself and to life. Gratitude naturally arises in silence. When the noise subsides, you become aware of life's subtleties, a gentle breeze, the warmth of the sun, the rhythm of your breath. These moments, often overshadowed by the mind's busyness, become sources of profound appreciation. Gratitude deepens the silence, creating a cycle of peace and presence. Silence also nurtures resilience. In moments of turmoil, the mind often spirals into panic, amplifying fear and doubt. Silence acts as an anchor, grounding you in the present and reminding you of your inner strength. It doesn't eliminate challenges, but equips you to face them with clarity and calm. Zen's lessons on silence show that the mind's noise is not the enemy. It is a symptom of distraction. By turning inward and embracing stillness, you reclaim the space within yourself. Silence is not something to be achieved, but something to be allowed, a natural state that arises when you let go of the need to control or force your thoughts. The stillness of a quiet mind opens the door to a deeper awareness, revealing truths that often remain hidden beneath the noise of daily life. Silence doesn't just calm, it transforms, offering clarity and insight that can change the way you approach the world. This wisdom is at the heart of Zen, a path that doesn't impose rules, but instead invites you to see life differently. Zen's simplicity is its power, holding lessons that, when embraced, have the potential to reshape how you live, think, and respond to challenges. Zen wisdom often begins with the present moment. The essence of life is here, now, yet so much of human energy is spent elsewhere, dwelling on the past or anticipating the future. Zen teaches that the present is the only reality, a space where life happens and possibilities exist. When you learn to live fully in this moment, you stop chasing what was or fearing what might be. This shift grounds you, allowing you to approach life with a sense of peace and immediacy. The more you engage with the present, the less power fear and regret hold over you. Another profound teaching in Zen is the art of letting go. Attachment creates suffering, as clinging to people, outcomes, or possessions binds you to fear of loss. Letting go doesn't mean apathy or detachment from life. It means releasing the need to control and allowing life to flow naturally. When you let go, you create space for freedom and joy, discovering that peace comes not from holding on, but from trusting the process. Zen wisdom emphasizes the importance of simplicity. Life becomes complicated not because of its nature, but because of how it is approached. Adding layers of expectation, judgment, and distraction obscures the beauty of what is already there. Simplifying doesn't mean giving up or doing less. It means seeing clearly, removing the unnecessary so that the essential can shine. This practice doesn't just declutter your surroundings, but also your mind, making space for greater clarity and peace. The practice of mindfulness is central to Zen. Mindfulness isn't just a momentary focus, it's a way of being fully present in every aspect of life. Whether eating, walking, or engaging in conversation, mindfulness transforms the ordinary into something profound. It teaches you to appreciate the details, to notice what you might otherwise overlook. This attention deepens your connection to life, creating a sense of fulfillment that doesn't depend on external achievements. Zen also teaches the value of embracing uncertainty. Life's unpredictability often fuels anxiety, as the mind seeks to control or predict what cannot be controlled. Instead of resisting uncertainty, Zen invites you to welcome it as an integral part of existence. When you stop fighting against the unknown, you discover a sense of freedom and openness. This acceptance doesn't mean passivity, but an active engagement with life as it unfolds, trusting in your ability to navigate whatever arises. Compassion is another cornerstone of Zen wisdom. Compassion begins with the self, offering kindness and understanding rather than judgment. This inner compassion extends outward, creating deeper connections with others. Zen teaches that compassion is not just a feeling, but a practice, a way of interacting with the world that fosters healing and harmony. By approaching life with compassion, you transform not only how you see others, but also how you see yourself. The idea of impermanence is a recurring theme in Zen. Nothing lasts forever: joy, sorrow, success, failure. This truth can feel unsettling but also liberating. When you embrace impermanence, you stop clinging to what is fleeting, allowing yourself to experience life fully without fear of its ending. This perspective encourages gratitude for the present and helps you approach challenges with resilience, knowing that they too will pass. Zen wisdom also highlights the importance of patience. In a world that prizes speed and instant results, patience offers a counterbalance, teaching you to trust the natural unfolding of events. Patience doesn't mean waiting passively. It means staying present and engaged without forcing outcomes. This practice cultivates a sense of calm and steadiness, allowing you to move through life with grace rather than urgency. Silence, simplicity, mindfulness, and compassion are not abstract concepts in Zen. They are practices woven into daily life. Each moment becomes an opportunity to live these teachings, to deepen your connection to yourself and the world. Zen wisdom doesn't offer quick fixes or guarantees. It offers a way of seeing and being that transforms how you experience life. These lessons are not about changing the world around you, but changing how you perceive and interact with it. Zen invites you to step into life fully, not by doing more, but by being more. More present, more open, more compassionate. Its wisdom doesn't impose but reveals, showing that the answers you seek are already within you, waiting to be uncovered. Zen's lessons offer clarity and calm, revealing the profound wisdom already within you. But even as this clarity emerges, the mind often carries residue, thoughts, patterns, and beliefs that cloud your ability to fully embrace the present. This mental clutter acts like toxins, weighing you down and obscuring your path. Detoxifying the mind becomes essential, a way to clear space for growth, understanding, and peace. Through Buddha's teachings, we find powerful practices to cleanse the mind, enabling you to release what no longer serves you and embrace a life of balance and freedom. The process begins with awareness. Much of the mind's clutter goes unnoticed because it operates in the background, shaping actions and emotions without your conscious input. Buddha emphasized the importance of mindfulness to bring this clutter into light. By paying attention to your thoughts, not judging or suppressing them, but simply observing, you begin to understand their nature. Awareness allows you to identify patterns that perpetuate negativity or fear, creating the first step toward release. A crucial element of mental detoxification is letting go of resentment. Holding on to anger or bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. Resentment traps you in a cycle of past grievances, stealing your peace and anchoring your mind in negativity. Forgiveness, as taught by Buddha, is not about excusing harmful actions, but about freeing yourself from their grip. When you forgive, you reclaim energy and space within your mind for peace and clarity. It's a practice of compassion for yourself as much as for others. The practice of right speech is another powerful way to detoxify the mind. Words carry energy, and speaking carelessly or negatively can fill your mind with the residue of harmful intentions. Buddha taught that mindful speech, words that are truthful, kind, and necessary, purifies both your inner and outer worlds. By aligning your speech with these principles, you reduce the mental burden of regret or guilt, fostering a sense of harmony and integrity within. Detoxifying the mind also involves reducing attachment. Attachment to outcomes, possessions, or identities creates a mental weight, as you constantly fear losing what you hold dear. Buddha's teachings on impermanence remind you that everything in life is fleeting, and clinging only deepens suffering. By practicing non-attachment, you release this mental burden, allowing space for joy and freedom. This doesn't mean detachment from life, but rather engaging with it fully without becoming entangled in its impermanence. Cultivating gratitude is another way to clear the mind of negativity. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is lacking to what is present, reducing the mental strain of comparison or dissatisfaction. Buddha's teachings encourage contentment as a way to find peace in the here and now. Gratitude doesn't ignore challenges, but balances them with recognition of life's gifts. This practice nurtures a sense of abundance, countering the mental toxicity of constant striving or envy. Silence and stillness are also essential for mental detoxification. The noise of daily life and the constant influx of information can overwhelm the mind, leaving little room for reflection or rest. Buddha emphasized the power of meditation as a way to cultivate inner silence. This stillness doesn't suppress thoughts, but allows them to settle naturally, like sediment in water. As the mind clears, you gain clarity and insight, reconnecting with your inner wisdom. Letting go of judgment is another step in detoxifying the mind. The tendency to judge yourself or others creates mental tension, as it often stems from fear or insecurity. Buddha taught that judgment clouds perception, preventing you from seeing things as they truly are. By practicing acceptance, you release the need to judge, creating space for understanding and connection. This shift fosters peace, as the mind no longer carries the weight of criticism. Mindful breathing serves as a powerful tool in this process. The breath acts as a bridge between the body and mind, grounding you in the present and calming the mental noise. Buddha's teachings on the breath emphasize its role in cultivating awareness and reducing anxiety. Each breath becomes an act of release, letting go of thoughts and emotions that no longer serve you. This simple yet profound practice detoxifies the mind, restoring balance and calm. Compassion, both for yourself and others, further supports mental detoxification. Negative thoughts often arise from a lack of compassion toward your mistakes, toward those who have wronged you, or toward life's imperfections. Buddha's teachings encourage metta, or loving kindness, as a way to counter these thoughts. Compassion dissolves anger, fear, and judgment, replacing them with understanding and connection. This practice purifies the mind, creating a foundation for peace and resilience. Finally, aligning your actions with your values detoxifies the mind by reducing inner conflict. When your actions are out of sync with your beliefs, the mind struggles with guilt, regret, or confusion. Buddha's teachings on the Eightfold Path provide guidance for ethical living, helping you act in ways that support harmony within yourself and with others. This alignment creates a sense of integrity, clearing the mental clutter that arises from dissonance. Through these teachings, the process of detoxifying the mind becomes a journey of release and renewal. It's not about achieving perfection, but about creating space for peace, clarity, and growth. Detoxifying the mind creates space for clarity, but true peace often depends on how you respond to the challenges and emotions life brings. The moments that test you, the sharp words, the unexpected setbacks, the internal conflicts, are where Buddhist wisdom shines most brightly. The power of not reacting transforms these challenges into opportunities for growth. By learning to control your emotions, you cultivate inner strength, breaking free from the patterns of impulsive reactions that often lead to regret or suffering. This practice is not about suppressing feelings, but understanding them deeply and choosing a response rooted in wisdom and compassion. The foundation of not reacting lies in awareness. When an emotion arises, it can feel like a wave, sudden and overwhelming. Without awareness, this wave carries you, pushing you into actions or words that you later regret. Awareness allows you to pause, to see the wave for what it is, a temporary surge of energy rather than an unstoppable force. This pause creates a space where you can choose how to respond instead of being driven by the emotion. Buddha's teachings emphasize that emotions are not the enemy. Anger, fear, sadness, and joy are all natural parts of the human experience. Problems arise not from the emotions themselves, but from the way they're handled. Reacting impulsively often magnifies the original emotion, creating cycles of misunderstanding, conflict, or inner turmoil. By observing emotions without immediately reacting, you break these cycles, reducing their intensity and impact. Breath awareness is a powerful tool in controlling reactions. The breath mirrors your emotional state, quickening when you're angry, tightening when you're afraid, softening when you're calm. By focusing on your breath, you anchor yourself in the present moment, reducing the hold of the emotion. This practice doesn't eliminate feelings, but gives you the steadiness to engage with them thoughtfully. Not reacting also involves understanding the impermanence of emotions. No matter how strong an emotion feels in the moment, it will pass, just like waves returning to the ocean. Reacting impulsively often gives emotions a permanence they don't naturally have, as your reactions create lasting consequences. By sitting with emotions rather than acting on them, you allow them to flow through you without leaving unnecessary damage in their wake. Compassion plays a key role in controlling reactions, especially when dealing with anger or frustration toward others. It's easy to react defensively when you feel wronged, but compassion helps you see beyond the surface. Often, people's actions come from their own pain or misunderstanding. Responding with compassion doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior, but it shifts your perspective from retaliation to resolution. This approach fosters peace rather than escalating conflict. Patience is another cornerstone of emotional control. Reacting often stems from a desire to resolve discomfort immediately, to say or do something that feels satisfying in the moment. Patience teaches you to sit with discomfort, trusting that clarity will come in time. This practice doesn't mean suppressing emotions, but allowing them the space to evolve naturally, often revealing insights that impulsive reactions would obscure. Mindfulness transforms how you relate to emotions. Instead of being swept away by them, mindfulness helps you observe them with curiosity and detachment. This practice reduces the power of emotions to control your actions, as you see them for what they are, passing experiences rather than fixed realities. Mindfulness also deepens your understanding of the patterns and triggers that drive your reactions, allowing you to address them at their root. Letting go of the need to be right is another essential element of not reacting. Many emotional reactions stem from the ego's desire to defend itself, to prove its worth or superiority. This need often leads to unnecessary conflict, as you react not to the situation itself, but to a perceived threat to your identity. By releasing this need, you free yourself to respond with wisdom and calm, focusing on resolution rather than winning. Gratitude helps shift your emotional state, creating a foundation of peace that makes it easier to respond thoughtfully. When you focus on what is going well, even in the midst of challenges, you reduce the intensity of negative emotions. Gratitude fosters resilience, reminding you that no single event or emotion defines your experience. Non-attachment also plays a crucial role. Many reactions come from attachment to specific outcomes or expectations. When things don't go as planned, frustration or disappointment arises, driving impulsive responses. By practicing non-attachment, you approach situations with openness, reducing the emotional weight of unmet expectations. This doesn't mean indifference, but a willingness to accept life as it unfolds, responding with grace rather than resistance. Silence can be one of the most powerful responses. When emotions run high, words often escalate rather than resolve the situation. Choosing silence allows you to pause, reflect, and respond with intention rather than impulse. Silence is not passive. It's an active choice to prioritize understanding over immediate expression. This space creates room for clarity and reduces the risk of saying something you might later regret. Aligning your actions with your values supports emotional control. When your responses reflect your core principles, kindness, patience, honesty, you create harmony within yourself. This alignment reduces the inner conflict that often fuels reactive behavior, as you are no longer acting against your better judgment. The practice of metta, or loving kindness meditation, strengthens your ability to respond with compassion and calm. By cultivating feelings of goodwill toward yourself and others, you create an inner environment of peace that reduces the likelihood of reactive behavior. Metta doesn't eliminate challenges, but equips you to face them with a steady heart. Buddha's wisdom reminds us that controlling emotions is not about suppression, but mastery. It's about creating a space where emotions can arise, be understood, and pass without controlling your actions. This mastery doesn't mean you will never feel anger, sadness, or fear. It means these emotions will no longer dictate your choices. Instead, you respond from a place of balance and wisdom, creating outcomes that reflect your true self. Mastering your emotions allows you to approach life with clarity and purpose. But there's another profound truth that Buddhism teaches: the power of walking your path alone. At first, the idea of facing challenges without external validation or support might feel daunting, yet it is in solitude that you uncover your greatest strength. To do it alone is not about isolation or rejection of others. It is about cultivating the inner resilience to move forward even when the world does not offer applause or understanding. This is where true growth begins. In life, reliance on others can sometimes become a crutch, holding you back from realizing your own capabilities. While connections and support systems are valuable, there are moments when they are absent, and you must rely entirely on yourself. These moments test your strength, forcing you to confront your fears, doubts, and limitations head-on. When you do so, you begin to see that you are more capable and resourceful than you once believed. Buddha taught the importance of self-reliance, reminding us that no one else can walk our path for us. Others may guide, inspire, or encourage, but ultimately, the journey is ours alone. This truth empowers you to take full responsibility for your choices, actions, and growth. It shifts your focus from external blame or dependence to internal accountability, freeing you to move forward on your terms. Doing it alone also requires a deep sense of trust in yourself. Doubt often arises when you feel unsupported, whispering that you are not enough or that you cannot succeed without help. Trust counters this doubt, reminding you of your inner strength and wisdom. This trust doesn't come from arrogance, but from the quiet confidence that grows with each step you take, even when the path is uncertain. Solitude is not emptiness. It is space for self-discovery. When you remove the distractions of external noise, whether it's opinions, expectations, or comparisons, you create room to hear your own voice. This voice, often drowned out by the world, carries the wisdom you need to navigate life's challenges. Solitude teaches you to listen to yourself, to trust your intuition, and to act from a place of authenticity. Walking your path alone also strengthens your resilience. Challenges feel heavier when you look to others to carry them with you, and disappointment arises when they cannot. By embracing solitude, you learn to bear your burdens with grace, discovering that they are not as insurmountable as they seemed. Each challenge you face alone becomes a lesson in perseverance, building the mental and emotional toughness needed to navigate life's uncertainties. Freedom arises when you stop waiting for others to validate or join your journey. Often, people delay their goals or dreams, waiting for the right partner, mentor, or team to appear. While collaboration has its place, some paths are meant to be walked alone. When you let go of the need for external validation, you free yourself to act boldly and without hesitation. This freedom is not about disregarding others, but about recognizing that your worth and purpose are not dependent on their presence. Self-discipline is a cornerstone of doing it alone. Without the accountability of others, it becomes your responsibility to stay committed to your goals and values. This discipline is not about rigid control, but about honoring the promises you make to yourself. Each time you follow through, you reinforce your trust in your own capabilities, making it easier to keep moving forward even when challenges arise. Clarity often emerges in solitude. When you are alone, free from the expectations or opinions of others, you can see your path more clearly. Solitude allows you to evaluate your priorities and align your actions with your true desires. This clarity is a gift, offering direction and focus that are difficult to find amidst the noise of the world. Doing it alone also fosters self-compassion. In solitude, you confront your fears, mistakes, and insecurities directly. These encounters can be uncomfortable, but they also teach you to treat yourself with kindness and understanding. Self-compassion becomes a source of strength, helping you move forward without being weighed down by self-criticism or doubt. Independence does not mean isolation. Even as you walk your path alone, you remain connected to the world. Buddha taught that the journey inward often deepens your connection to others, as it helps you see them not through the lens of need, but through the lens of shared humanity. Doing it alone allows you to engage with others from a place of wholeness rather than dependency. Gratitude also plays a role in this journey. When you embrace solitude, you begin to appreciate the moments of connection and support that do arise, seeing them as gifts rather than necessities. This gratitude enriches your relationships, as it shifts your focus from what others owe you to what they offer freely. It reminds you that while you can walk your path alone, you are never truly alone in the grander sense. Walking your path alone often involves letting go of the fear of judgment. The fear of what others might think can be a powerful barrier, keeping you stuck in inaction or conformity. When you release this fear, you reclaim your freedom to act authentically, to pursue what matters most to you without hesitation. This courage transforms not only your actions, but also your sense of self-worth, as it is no longer tied to external approval. Patience is essential in this process. When you rely on yourself, progress can feel slower, as there are no shortcuts or external boosts. Patience teaches you to trust the journey, to recognize that each small step is a victory. This practice builds resilience as you learn to celebrate your progress without comparing it to others or seeking validation. Doing it alone fosters a profound sense of accomplishment. Each milestone you reach, each challenge you overcome, is a testament to your strength and determination. This sense of accomplishment is not about pride, but about self-respect, a quiet acknowledgement of your ability to persevere and grow. Walking your path alone teaches self-reliance, clarity, and the power of trusting your inner strength. Yet, even with this independence, the mind often struggles with the pull of the past and the tug of the future. Regret over what was and worry about what could be create an invisible weight that drags you from the freedom of the present. Living fully in the here and now offers the ultimate antidote to this mental tug-of-war, providing a profound sense of peace, clarity, and fulfillment that no amount of overthinking can deliver. The present moment is the only reality, yet it is often overlooked. The mind races, filling itself with memories that cannot be changed, or crafting scenarios of what may come, none of which exist except as thoughts. This mental activity drains energy and creates unnecessary anxiety, as your attention is split between two places you cannot control, the past and the future. By focusing on the present, You reclaim that energy, grounding yourself in what is real and within reach. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the lessons of the past or neglecting plans for the future. It means using the past as a source of wisdom and the future as a space for intention, while fully engaging with the now. The present moment is where action happens, where change occurs, and where life unfolds. The more you focus on it, the more you align with the flow of life, reducing the friction caused by dwelling elsewhere. Anxiety thrives on what-ifs, spinning endless possibilities that rarely come to pass. The present moment cuts through this noise, offering clarity and simplicity. Here, there is no room for speculation, only what is, as it is. By fully embracing the now, you stop feeding the cycle of worry, allowing your mind to rest. This rest isn't passive, it's a state of active presence where you engage fully with life as it happens. The breath serves as a powerful anchor to the present. Unlike the mind, which constantly moves between timelines, the breath is always in the now. Paying attention to your breath draws you back to this moment, grounding you in your body and surroundings. This practice not only calms the mind, but also enhances awareness, helping you notice the details of life that often go unnoticed in the rush of thought. Letting go of judgment is essential for living in the present. The mind often labels experiences as good or bad, creating resistance to what is. This resistance pulls you out of the moment as you dwell on why things are not as you wish them to be. By releasing judgment, you accept life as it unfolds, finding peace in its natural flow. This acceptance doesn't mean passivity, but a willingness to engage with life as it is, rather than as you think it should be. Gratitude naturally arises in the present. When you focus on what is happening now, you become aware of life's small but profound gifts: the warmth of the sun, the sound of laughter, the feeling of connection. Gratitude shifts your perspective from what is missing to what is here, reducing anxiety and fostering contentment. This practice deepens your sense of abundance, reminding you that the present holds more than enough. Living in the present also enhances relationships. When you are fully engaged in the now, you listen more deeply, connect more authentically, and respond with greater intention. The distractions of past grievances or future worries no longer cloud your interactions, allowing you to be fully present with others. This presence strengthens bonds, creating relationships built on genuine connection rather than distraction. Mindfulness transforms how you experience the present. Instead of rushing through moments, mindfulness invites you to savor them, whether it's the taste of a meal, the feel of the ground beneath your feet, or the sound of a friend's voice. Mindfulness enriches these experiences, turning the ordinary into something extraordinary. This depth of presence brings a sense of fulfillment that no external achievement can match. Fear often pulls you from the present, as the mind fixates on what might go wrong. Living in the now dissolves this fear, as it reminds you that you have the strength to face what is happening in this moment. The future is unknown, but the present is manageable. By focusing on what you can do now rather than what may come, you reduce fear's grip and regain your sense of agency. Non-attachment is another key to living in the present. Clinging to outcomes or resisting change keeps you tethered to the past or future, preventing you from fully engaging with now. Non-attachment frees you from this tether, allowing you to experience life as it unfolds. This freedom doesn't mean detachment from life, but a deeper connection to it, as you engage with each moment without the weight of expectation. Patience plays a vital role in embracing the present. The desire for immediate results often pulls you into the future as you focus on what's next rather than what's now. Patience teaches you to trust the timing of life, to find contentment in the process rather than rushing toward the outcome. This practice cultivates a sense of calm and resilience, helping you stay grounded in the now. The present moment also fosters creativity. When the mind is no longer preoccupied with the past or future, it has the freedom to explore, imagine, and create. This creativity is not forced, but flows naturally, arising from a state of openness and curiosity. By living in the now, you tap into this flow, discovering insights and ideas that might otherwise remain hidden. Compassion deepens in the present. When you're fully here, you see yourself and others more clearly, without the distortions of past judgments or future fears. This clarity allows you to approach life with kindness and understanding, creating a sense of harmony within and around you. Compassion becomes not just an action, but a way of being, rooted in the awareness of life's shared humanity. Living in the present is a practice, not a destination. It requires constant attention and intention, as the mind will always try to pull you elsewhere. Each time you bring yourself back to now, you strengthen this practice, building a foundation of peace and clarity that grows over time. This effort is not about perfection, but about presence, a willingness to engage with life as it is. The beauty of the present moment is that it holds everything you need. Peace, joy, understanding, and growth are not things to be found elsewhere. They are here, waiting for you to notice them. By living in the now, you free yourself from the burdens of regret and worry, creating space for a life that is rich, meaningful, and deeply fulfilling. Anxiety loses its power when you embrace the timeless wisdom of Buddhism, which invites you to see fear for what it truly is, an illusion of the mind. By living in the present, letting go of attachments, and understanding the impermanence of all things, you create a foundation of inner peace. Fear no longer controls you when you face it with patience, compassion, and a deep trust in life's unfolding. These lessons are not just teachings. They are tools to reshape how you experience the world, offering freedom from the weight of worry and opening the door to a life of clarity and purpose. If these lessons resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments below. Which of these teachings spoke to you the most? Have you already started applying them in your life? Let's build a community of shared wisdom and growth together. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content that uplifts, inspires, and guides you toward living your best life. Click the bell icon so you never miss out on new videos. Together, we'll keep learning, growing, and stepping into the calm confidence that comes with living without fear. See you in the next video.